Well, it's starting now.
Right.
What's going
All
on,
right,
guys? We're here. We're live. Welcome, welcome to a brand new Poker Life podcast. My name's Joey Ingram, aka Chicago Joey. You can find the podcast on iTunes. Search Poker Life. Hopefully, I do need to update them though. Yesterday we had Limitless on the podcast. He is he's a 2550, 5100 high stakes regular on PokerStars, and it was probably one of the best podcasts I've ever done. I've also started doing the PLO poker hand sort of talk about them videos on my channel. I've done 2 of those so far, and those will be coming out most days as well. And let's get into it, man. I got nothing else. Joining me today on the podcast is a young man who I always enjoy having on, and he's officially joined the ranks of entrepreneur life in the poker world. He's on here to talk more about his new site, PokerShares, aka Bank of Timex, but now officially PokerShares. And we might even get into some C-bet strategy questions for the flop and for the turn, too, if you've been following Twitter at all lately. And we'll just find out more about what he's been up to. He is a GPL champion. I'm pretty sure that's correct, right?
Yeah,
a GPL champion.
Yeah, we won. Yeah.
Okay, GPL champion and a longtime member of the poker community. We're joined by Mcdonald, a.k.a. Timex. What's up, puppy? Welcome back to the podcast, man.
That was quite the introduction. Thank you very much, man. It's good to be back on the show. It's been a while.
Yeah, I think last time we had you on, it was I only remember this because I named the title of the video something different, which was when Backdoor Bazov was doing the alleged insider trading and all that stuff. Turns out it may not have been alleged, may have actually been happening. So I'm pretty sure that was the last time that we had you on here.
Yeah, that's been a while now. I forgot it had been that long. It's awesome to be back on the show. We can talk about some stuff, some c-betting, the whole shebang.
All right, buddy. So you're official now, huh? So I don't know if many people saw this coming. Obviously, Bank of Timex has been around the poker community in some aspect. It's been talked about. People have been complaining about it. People have said you're gonna kill the action, I don't exactly know what their complaints are about Bank of Timex, but now you've officially launched PokerShares, and yeah, man, tell people more about it.
Yeah. So basically, for people who are familiar with Bank of Timex, PokerShares is pretty much a broader version of that. Right now, we basically want to be kind of like a sports book for everything poker related. Whether it's investing in tournaments, betting on who's going to win the next upcoming tournament. Like just betting on like how many bracelets people are going to win. There's all these like grudge matches and Twitter feuds that are going on. There's so many things that get bet on within poker beyond just actually piece buying, that we kind of want to cover all of that and have it all in one place.
Yeah, so there's a thread on 2+2, and there's some. We're gonna get to some of those comments. Some of those comments were fun. Some of those comments were supportive. It seems like a lot of people out there are pretty excited for the implications about the site, and I guess tell people a little bit more about why you wanted to do something like this and kind of like the main motivators behind it.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned people being excited, and that's something that makes me, restores a little bit of my faith in the poker community, seeing just how excited people are for this. Like, I've seen so many good ideas in poker just get like shot down in NVG. As soon as someone does something positive, people just find the negative in it. Like when I was reading the thread when like Lucky Chewy's poker site came out, I felt so sad, where he's like the best person I know. Like, he's the most positive influence. He's such a good guy, and people are just like ripping into him because like of the clothes he wears, and like it was so like it's so crazy that people really just kind of look for the bad in things. So when we were hitting send on like the first couple tweets yesterday, we're just sort of thinking like we just got to prepare for anything. Like, especially the video production quality wasn't that good. The website isn't that polished. There's a million things that you can find flaws in, especially when you're a perfectionist yourself. And we're shocked by how positive the feedback has been thus far. So we're pretty happy with with how the poker community has reacted. We're like almost surprised by how positive it's been, because people are just negative about almost everything. So it's nice to see that people are really happy with the service we plan on providing.
Yeah. I mean, obviously everyone is a professional web designer out there. Everybody is professional at creating videos, at making content. These guys know how to fucking do everything, Mike. So you got to understand when you put a website out there, they're like, oh my God, it's got the fucking baby meme on there. Oh my, I'm not giving this guy money. He's got the baby meme on there. His colors are green. Why are the colors green, guy? It's like, all right, guys, calm down, please. Like, the site just launched. You guys aren't professional web designers. And and I get where they're coming from, but you're not going to be able to please everybody. And I think it's something that's going to be a work in progress that'll get better and better over time. And right now it's day 2 officially of this thing.
Yeah, it's day 2. It's been around for, I don't know, 18, 20 hours or something. And it's also it's not like everyone knows at this stage that poker sites can be big businesses. Everyone knows sports books can be big businesses. Like, we don't really know if, a poker sports book can even be a medium-sized business. Like, we don't know the scope that we can get to. Just like anyone who's a part of something, you tend to err on the side of optimism, but we really have no idea just how big the market is. And as a result of that, we didn't budget having, several programmers working around the clock. We don't have like a huge support team. Like, we're a relatively small operation, wanted to keep our costs to not like a minimum, but not going all out or anything like that. And if we see that the market's pretty big in the first month or first couple months, we can really, it's not as if our goal is to just make some small sum of money and pull it out of the economy. It's to build this into something that is reasonably sized. So when we realize, that revenue can be high, we're going to up our expenses. We're going to get better software. We're going to have, better advertising. We're going to do positive things with this project. We're not just trying to keep it on the same scale with the baby on there for the existence of the company. We're very limited right now, and hopefully we get the opportunity to grow.
Yeah. So why don't you tell the people a little bit about exactly what the site is? So you mentioned that you can buy shares of poker players in tournaments, like upcoming PCA tournaments are up there, the high rollers, there's the 10K, there's a couple other ones. So you can buy the percentage of just of a markup, but you go ahead, you're going to have a much better explanation. I don't really know how I've never really bought pieces and played tournaments, so I'm not super knowledgeable about it as I am about other things in poker.
Yeah. So basically, effectively every single tournament will post the prices for various players. And, obviously with these 1,000-person tournaments, you can't post a list of all 1,000 people. So we're typically, posting a list of 10 or 20, relatively known or relatively, popular players. But then we also have the ability for our motto or slogan or whatever you call it is any player, any tournament. If your buddy who's never played poker before is playing in the Sunday Million, and he doesn't know the rules, we'll give him a pretty damn low markdown, basically. We're very we want to allow people the opportunity to just bet on whoever they want, raise the stakes of any tournament, and basically we the website shows only a few dozen or 100 bets right now, but there's a pretty gigantic number of potential bets that people can make, and they can just invest in whoever they want, invest in themselves, invest in players they wouldn't otherwise have access to. There's a lot they can do.
I guess behind this, there's some countries on there. I think there's a bunch of countries where you can't place bets from. So what's the legality on this situation? So how does that all work out?
Yeah. So basically, based on the gaming license we have, there are certain restricted countries. I don't have the list handy, but there's 15 or 20 of them. A lot of the ones which you'd expect, Americans aren't allowed to participate on the site. It's under the terms and conditions, and you can't even a lot of Americans are disappointed because you can't even access the website in the United States and things like that. We're not going to be like an ACR or something trying to squeak through allowing anyone to play there. We're basically I
guess I missed that one.
We're just doing stuff by the book.
So you're saying if you're in America, you can't play on the site. No TOS, VPN. I mean, listen, Mike, how things go, the VPNs and all that stuff like that. That's not allowed, or what's the process like for people to get, they have to submit some documents, or how does that work out?
Yeah, people have to send in documentation. In the video that I made, I mean, it's within 14 days of making your account, you need to send in documentation, which can be a little bit awkward if someone wants to do this on a live trip. You fly to PCA, you probably don't have a utility bill on you, and then you're there for 8 days. All of a sudden, your 14-day span turns into a 6-day span once you get home. Travel time, like it's relatively strict, but that's how things go, and that's one of our requirements. Your account will be disabled, but then it can be reactivated once you've sent an ID. The idea is that people can make an account and start using the account, but we need to verify who the person is.
That makes a lot of sense. And I guess, so what's the major motivation behind this? Try to make money for yourself? Is there any sort of like hope that maybe this, I don't know, has some sort of impact on markups being offered by players, or what's kind of the main motivator for you?
Yeah, one of my peeves is always, when entrepreneurs basically need to say that their decisions aren't financially driven, like, it's purely about changing the world, or it's purely about, green technologies. Like it's almost as if the desire to earn a profit is a bad thing. But yeah, we want to make money. Like we're not doing this as, like purely as like a charity to the poker world. Like we're trying to profit off of doing this. We think that this will help the poker economy. Like I think that there's so many people who basically profit off of like scamming their like friends, family, and fans into investing in them at unreasonable rates. And I think that we're going to strongly limit the amount that occurs.
So let's talk about that, what you just said, because it's very accurate. So when Mike's talking about people out there, poker players, scamming or charging this, it's what they do is they charge this really fucking absurd markup for, it really just isn't justified. And the only reason they do it is just because they can. Now you can argue, sure, that might be correct, but this is a big problem now in the poker community, especially with some of the newer staking sites out there. You have guys that aren't even winning poker players charging 1.7 markup. They're selling it to their friends and family on Facebook. They're selling it to their fans on a Twitch stream. But I guess my main question is, can your site really, do you really think it's going to have any impact on somebody doing something like that and then selling that to their friends and family? I feel like they're still going to be able to do things like that no matter what.
So that no matter what happens, it's not as if, we'll become the police who come into every thread and are, just so you know, like, this isn't allowed. There's a website where you can buy it for cheaper. Like, it's not as if like we'll affect the market, but it's not as if us opening our doors immediately means that there are that there isn't the room to do this. Like the one thing we were commenting on the forums is that it's not like we're even offering an identical product. Like, if someone's selling to their friends and family, like, one, they could be the deciding factor between that person getting to play the tournament and not. Two, there's I think there's a larger emotional gain from rooting for something with your friends than like rooting against our company. It's not like, while you could easily say 5% is 5%. It's kind of different where if you buy through your friend, it might be that 5% might be the difference between them playing and not, whereas that's not going to be the case with us. And then also, yeah, I think people just enjoy, like, I think they should, like, unless they really like beating us, which some people do, I think you should enjoy winning with your friend more than like winning off of us. Right. But you never know, I guess.
Gus P says, win a package to the PCA from Bill Perkins and charge 1.25 markup on a 1K. Is that actually happening, Gus? Can you please send me a link to that package? Because I'd like to know more about that package. That's pretty crazy if somebody that won, because Bill Perkins was giving away a bunch of packages down to the PCA. Mm-hmm. So if somebody won a package, won some of the tournament money, and then charged 1.25 markup, I mean, whatever, man. People, it's... Yeah. Well, I guess what do you feel like's changed in the tournament staking world, the markup world? Do you feel like it's gotten a little bit better over the past year, or do you feel like some of the markups are still getting pretty wild?
So bang, bang,
I don't. Bang, bang. I hear. Okay, I hear it coming.
Overall, the market has gotten a lot more efficient in the last couple of years. Like, I wish the process of starting this up was way faster, because if this business was around like 7 years ago, like I'd be owning a Maya right now. Like it's just, we there was so much like ridiculous money coming into, like investing in poker players, and now it's relatively sharp. And in a lot of cases, I think people are too pessimistic about win rates, especially in tournament. Like oftentimes, just because there's a large dollar value before the start of a tournament, people assume win rates can't be high for the elite players, but that just isn't the case. Like, if it's the same field, whether it's a $1,000 tournament or a $1 million tournament, the markup should, in theory, be the same. And I think a lot of people just kind of assume it has to scale down more drastically than it does. And then also, I guess, so the reason I hesitated before you asked that question is I think the creation of Stake Kings and UStake has made that specific segment of the market a lot worse, and there's a lot of kind of like soft money that goes in there. And I get like those aren't really direct competitors to us; they'd be more indirect. And I don't like want to like step on anyone's toes, but I think the average 2+2 investment, or the average like investment that people send to their friends, is typically higher quality than on those sites.
Yeah, the Stake King sites and the UStake sites, I gotta say, those have done some great work to keep some of the poker players who may have won a couple tournaments about 7 or 8 years ago, kept them in the game, because now those guys are able to sell packages pretty easily at a nice hefty markup to people that follow them and their fans. So I think those sites have done a pretty good job for helping out the poker world in some ways.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely, and it's also, it's given them. I mean, the one thing that's nice about that is, say I saw Bill Perkins selling on UStake. Bill Perkins isn't doing this because he wants to, sell off like 10% and play it like a 90K instead of 100K. He wants to get like fan engagement, and that's like his goal isn't to lower the risk, but until like now, that was the only opportunity for people to have a piece of Bill Perkins, or have a piece of, like Doug Polk if you stream. I don't know if Doug uses that, but like any of these like popular streamers. Now like we can basically pair with anyone who's known in the community. Like, if we just work with any Twitch streamer, rather than that, if they're playing the big 55, rather than selling 20% and then playing like a $44 tournament and just letting a few people have some 1% sweats, we can just sell off 1,000% of them. Like, it's really, it's a positive, it's a pretty positive thing for scaling the engagement of popular streamers and stuff.
So let's talk about some of these questions I've been seeing out there from people. And Adam Smith brings up a good one in the chat. He says, how can you deal with pros playing on losing player accounts in online tournaments and betting heavily on themselves?
So I guess the way we can deal with that is by not letting them bet heavily on themselves. It's sort of, we can set the limits differently for every account, and we just have to gauge those limits based on, the trust we have for the person. So, let's just say, times are tough for PLP. He's not doing so hot. He just finds like the worst player ever and starts playing on his account. He can probably like print off me pretty hard, because like I trust him so much. Like I wouldn't expect PLP to be screwing me over. Like it's basically, we need to gauge, how much like our trust in each person is worth, and how much risk we should associate with that, and then set the limits accordingly. So no matter what, with a business like this, we're going to have people who take advantage of us to some extent. That's inevitable. We've just got to try to keep that to a minimum.
When he mentions PLP, he's obviously mentioned Poker Lovin' Pertush, aka Pussy Lovin' Pertush, one of my favorite American tournament players out there. Now there's a guy posting on a new account in the thread on 2+2, and he brought up some good points, and then he brought up some kind of funny things. Which one of the things was, so did you get in touch with Dana Grano and Fedor Holes to use their names on here? I thought that was kind of a funny thing he talked about, but maybe he's actually being true. You don't actually need to get in touch with these guys to use their names for a sportsbook. There's plenty of sportsbooks that do other things like this all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same as any sportsbook. Like it's not as if when Real Madrid is playing, they're getting commissions from like 10,000 sportsbooks around the world for using their likeness to make bets. It's just we're just offering the opportunity for people to bet on things, and people's names are being used there, but you don't need, like, it's not as if their name is like trademarked and only they can use it or anything like that. So it's, yeah, there was like when I was reading that, like that's such a good example of how positive the feedback has been. Is, I went to sleep, woke up, saw that reply in the thread, and I'm just like, oh god, here's where the thread gets a negative, and 40 people all agree, and they're like, yeah, fuck off, Timex. Like, but then it, like, so many people were just like, who, some of them who actually sound like they might have a legal background, were, explaining to this guy why he's wrong, and doing our job for us, which is, the community's been great so far.
Yeah. So this guy said something else too. He says, as stated before, this is going to hurt pros from being able to sell action. It will hurt the tournament scene, and it will also hurt the industry as a whole. The only one benefiting from this would be PokerShares if it were to last.
I mean, I think that's not true in the slightest. Like, I think that everyone benefits. Like, okay, so there's definitely a tier of pro that is not winning. They're winning money when they play, but they're winning less than the markup they sell for. And those people being in games hurts everyone. Like, the fish lose a little more by having, more pros at the table. The good pros lose a little bit because they have this, like, weak reg at the table instead of a fish. Like, basically, and the whole economy suffers from having these pros who, are profiting off of markup, and eliminating those people helps, it helps, like, it will make the field size 5% smaller or something like that, but it will like help every single player in the field's win rate. And then, yeah, I mean, basically I just think that what they're saying is not true. I mean, obviously if our business is making money, that is money that's coming out of the poker economy. If this like, I personally don't think the scope of this business is large enough that it could, I mean, I hope I'm wrong about this, but I don't think the scope of this business is large enough that it can make a substantial impact. Like, it's not like this sale is ever going to pull 5% of the money out of the poker economy or anything. Like, I wish that were possible, but I just can't see that ever being possible, basically. So I think it's just kind of, I think that the amount of dollars that, like, we're, hoping to profit is not that huge in the grand scheme of things. And I think for all individual games, having these guys who, print off of markup and cause everyone else to, do a little bit worse hurts everyone a lot more than what we're going to do.
All right. I think this one's from my brother from another country, Patrick Leonard, Mr. Aggressive. He said, the lines are very off, IMO. Looking forward to betting against the old school once shorting the prices becomes an option.
Yeah. So the one thing we do want to allow shorting on a small scale. But for very long odds things, it's really tough to justify it. Like, as an example, let's just say first place in the PCA is $1 million this year, and you have $10,000 in your account. Okay, so basically you say, okay, I want to short Mike Mcdonald. So you risk your $10,000 to win, to try to win the $50 off the site. And then what ends up happening is this tournament goes on for a week. And then let's say we think we're doing pretty well. We think we're making an 8% ROI. We think we're making $4 off this bet. So we tie up your $10,000 account balance in an attempt to win $4. It's really, like, it's not ideal for us to have someone with $10,000 in an account making an ultra volatile investment where we're hoping to make $4. So for shorter things, like say for GPL events, where it's a 6-person tournament, we're absolutely going to allow bets. Like, I think that Mike McDonald's not going to win his next sit and go or something, or I think that Jungle Man's going to lose his next heads up match. We're definitely going to allow, like, short odds for people to short players, but for long odds things, like huge field tournaments, it just seems like a lot of work, a huge degree of uncertainty, and just a lot of money tied up for us kind of accomplishing nothing.
So I guess you mentioned the GPL thing, and the first thing that comes to my mind in that situation is, well, then there could be some collusion, especially in a thing like the GPL, where there's no money being played for. It seems easy for someone to get together. And, there may or may not have been GPL betting going on last season in the same situation in various parts of the internet as well, too. So it's not like these haven't been risks and these other things. And I've talked with other people about this, but I know a lot of people are going to be curious about exactly what you're going to do about that situation. Because I actually think that's a very valid concern and something very valid to think about. It's
a huge concern, and limits would have to be pretty small, and we'd likely want to try to balance our position in situations like that. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty difficult to cheat to win a poker tournament, but it's pretty damn easy to cheat to lose a poker tournament. So when we're basically allowing people, if we just let's just say we, allow like Patrick to short 30% of himself or something. Well, he so easily could have sold off 80% and then try to tank the tournament. It's just, it doesn't, even if we make limits low, there's still a lot, so many people have such small percents of themselves that throwing our product into the mix just really allows people to profit off of chip dumping. So we want this to be a full market, but we don't just want to allow bets that are only being made by people who are cheating us, basically. So we want with people shorting players, there's a lot of room for this to not be a very viable business by us. Yeah.
Too Fat Matt, is Sorel pre-banned? Good question.
He lives in America, so I guess he's pre-banned. Yeah, no, we might.
That's a good question, Too Fat Matt. Is he? I don't know. I'm sure he'd find a way, right? I feel like he'd find a way to get on there. So.
Yeah, no, I don't think. I don't think there's, many people that I can think of that would be pre-banned. But good question, I guess.
So what are you going to do about the inevitable negative feedback you get from poker players saying, why is my this, Daniel Negreanu saying Timex, why is my markup 1.05 on the 100K tournament? What do you mean, man? I'm poker. Come on. I'll bet 35 million, what are you going to do about when that thing starts happening, when people start getting upset about the prices? And also, by the way, I'm disappointed in this. I read on 2+2 that you said you're not going to be posting all the bang bang lines, and you're going to keep those more private. And I wanted to see the bang bang lines, man. I want to see people out there. Seeing themselves at 0.85 or something like that, and being like, damn, okay, that's fucked up.
I mean, this doing stuff like this, I'm not trying, I don't like I don't like looking for sympathy or anything like that, and I'm the last person who should get any. But basically, just talking about players, you would not believe how many people I've just hate me basically because of, and I try to be pretty cautious and try not to hurt people's feelings. And there are just so many people who just make things so personally, and just it's really ruined not any close friendships, but a lot of relationships with acquaintances. And it's annoying because I'm not trying to make enemies, but a lot of people make things so personal that I just really want to I don't want to be stirring shit up. I want to get along with people, and I don't want to be such an antagonist. So yeah, it's something maybe when I first thought of this years ago, I always thought oh, it'd be cool to call it those shitty regs. That'll make me feel so sweet. I'll be so cool by telling them they're not beating these markups. And now I'm just I just don't really give a shit about stuff like that anymore. I don't really care too much about putting people in their place. It's this is just I kind of like the fact that now with PokerShares, I kind of have I can hide behind a company basically, where it's sort of I always hate how PokerStars says, oh, we could have done more, we could hide, sort of hiding as if it's no one's fault. I mean, this is maybe a bit of a cop out, but I kind of like the fact a little bit that when the company releases something, it's not me specifically saying hey, Daniel Negreanu, you're the lowest markup in the field. It's a company where it's not like I'm not a one man show over here or anything. Like I'm like sort of the face for PokerShares.
Come on, it's still you. Come on, it's still you. I mean, ain't nobody be like, yeah, it ain't Timex. That had nothing to do with this one. Like,
I mean,
gonna be the guy that's kind of
no. I mean, it's like
influence on it.
I mean, it's definitely an influence, but like a huge. It's not as if I'm sitting there at my computer answering every support email or anything like that. Like it's like when someone requests a bet, it's just gonna be me, like coming up with the rate. Like if someone's trying to make some huge stakes bet, I'll probably approve it. Or like it'll probably be run by me at some point. But like when someone's just looking like, oh, I want to buy a piece in some sort of tournament, like we're like it's not as if I'm the only guy who can come up with the idea for a markup. So it's like I'm kind of the maybe like the face for this or whatnot. But it's not as if it's like just me sitting here behind my computer, figuring out like who I can make feel bad because they're priced lower.
You're not sitting on the computer, all right, 6, 5, 7, 2, all right, fuck him. We're gonna give him, he's not like sitting on the computer all day long doing that.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So Jeremy says it brings up a good point, which is this is how I would react. So you mentioned you had acquaintances that got upset, people got upset. Now listen, Jeremy says it should be inspiration for those shitty regs to try harder. And I would agree. If I'm a professional tournament player and another I see that and they're charging this for my thing. Well, that's going to kind of motivate me to want to work harder at my game, do better, step it up a little bit. Okay, now I see where other people think I'm at. Let me work harder. And I mean, I understand why they'd be upset, but I don't kind of understand why it would upset. Like, I mean, why they just would hate you now or something like that. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I don't.
Okay, here's an example, and this is things like this, like happen on like various bets and whatnot. Someone wants to invest in themselves in a tournament. They forget about it, and then they sit down in the tournament and then say that they've want to invest in themselves. Like there, you can basically free roll and just only ask to buy a piece when your table draw is good or when you've chipped up a little bit earlier or whatever it happens to be. So it's a spot where you can't just blindly allow people to do that because there are people who will take advantage of the situation. So by not allowing someone to bet in those circumstances, it's not like you're questioning their skill, you're questioning their like moral fiber. Like you're basically saying, you're not saying, I think you're bad at poker. You're basically saying, I think you're a bad person. And that stuff like that cuts people deep. And it's not as if it's a case by case basis. For certain things, you just kind of blindly need to not do it. You can't be like, okay, who are the people that are going to free roll you here? You kind of just need to just sort of make some rules and stick to them. And like that's why everything on PokerShares we have like they all cut off like at the start of the at the very start of the event. Like we don't let people buy action 10 minutes in or half an hour in because like just seeing your table draw or seeing seeing stuff like that can really affect things. And I mean, even right now, like I just thought of this. I'm sure there'll be people who register for a tournament, see their ticket, see that so like some like weaker players have the table like the same table draw as them, and then will buy action purely because they know that their table draw is probably going to be good. That stuff like there's so much room to take advantage of what we're doing that we just have to be very, very cautious.
Right. I mean, that's the game, right? The bettors are trying to win money from you. You're the site, you're the host. You're trying to win money from the bettors. That's kind of how things work usually.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the main point is that so like certain things are just questioning. Like if certain things can be interpreted as if you're questioning more than just how well they play poker, basically.
James on Twitter, James McSumpton, implications of removing money from the staking community.
Huh?
The implications of removing money from the staking community. So instead of people putting this money and being regular stakers on the marketplace, now they're just regular traders on PokerShares.
I mean, I think that I mean, I could be wrong about this, but I doubt that too many piece buyers are going to love this idea so much that it cuts into their that they abandon their other piece buying activities. I think what it'll come down to is they buy the pieces they like the most, and if 100% of those are on our site, well then that's probably shows that the poker community is being pretty is pretty scummy. Most likely it'll be, some percent is on our site. I tend to guess less than half, but if it's more than half, good for us, and bad for I think if like basically like there needs if let's just say hypothetically because like players want to leave 5 or 10% of profit for investors, and we want to leave 5 or 10% profit for ourselves. That means we now have a 10 to 20% gap between the price we should be charging and what the community should be charging. And some people say it should be even more than 5 or 10 when like to leave room for investors. But let's just use this let's just say 15%. There should be a 15% gap between what we're charging and what other people are charging. And if they're charging more than 15% higher than what we are, either we've fucked up really badly, or they're probably unfairly taking advantage of their reputation.
So I know some people out there don't really understand what Mike's saying, and don't worry, you're not alone. I don't know exactly what he's saying either when it comes to all these fucking numbers. I'm not a professional sports bettor. I'm happy a lot of this stuff means. I'm happy when I look at the site and I see Mike Dentale versus Kate Hall and odds being offered. I don't even have an idea what those things mean. So I'm looking for the +1 something, and I see like 3. I don't even know exactly what those numbers mean, Mike. So are you going to use the plus and the minus noobs like myself can get it?
So yeah, when I was talking about earlier about doing this on a small scale, basically, like that would be probably the number one change that I would want implemented, is having American odds. I mean, the fact we don't allow American players, and they're some of the only people that use American odds, isn't such a big deal to our bottom line. It's pretty easy. I mean, it's not fun, but it's pretty easy to just Google for a converter between American and decimal and decimal odds. But basically, we would the company that's built our software deals just with decimal odds, and I think it would be a pretty big project to change it. We would love to have it changed and have the option to toggle between it. And it's something especially, I mean, it's one of those things for us to kind of look at how well our company can do. We don't even need to have made much money. We just need to have seen that there's plenty of volume and kind of have faith that we can profit overall. If over the next month or two we just have absurd volume, we're fine to pour a bunch more money into this project. But for the time being, we just don't know how big the market is, and don't want to invest in too many bells and whistles if it's just going to trend into some fairly small thing.
Jim Dugan brings up a pretty good point. Need a scandal. Yeah, it's true. Maybe you could do something where maybe you call out one of the big name pro. I mean, that seems to be it's a strategy. Some people, you just call out one of the big name pros, say that you're offering their action a 0.90, maybe fire some shots at them, call them a bad player. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I feel like that's a new business, new project. Maybe you need something like that to kind of get the talk going out there.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is something when I say that if this business came out 7 years ago, I'd be owning a Maya, is basically there was such a big information disparity between people in the know and out of the know years ago, where there were just a ton of just guys who just had full tilt money or whatever it happened to be, who were just not good, who were established and had money to gamble with, who you could call out. But in this day and age, there just aren't that many people that are highly respected by the informed community that suck, basically. If I'm just Doug Polk, I'm gonna fire some shots, get some Twitch hits, you can buy yourself at 0.9, okay, well, everyone's gonna buy them at 0.9. It's it's sort of great. I just lost thousands or tens of thousands of dollars in value. Good job, Mike. It's sort of it's sort of you can do things to an extent, but you can't just blindly basically you can put your money where your mouth is to try to get some attention, but if you try too hard, you can just lose a lot of money doing so.
Yeah. Scott F says Kasuf 0.90. I bet. I mean, listen, man, I'm buying all the William Kasuf stock in the world. I'm all in on William Kasuf. He's gonna be the top money winner in poker this year, in my opinion, in tournaments.
Yeah, I saw one hand he played. I haven't really been following poker too closely the last couple months, but he played some hand. It must have been televised in like September or October, and I just thought it was so funny. I wish it wasn't the like check your privilege hand. There was some hand, and it was like the first hand I saw from him where he like he keeps on saying that he's just trying to help someone out, and like the tournament director is like shushing him. I thought that was hilarious. Like it reminded me of like the old like high stakes poker hands where people are talking it up. Like I think stuff like that is like pretty entertaining. Like by almost all accounts, like I know very little about him, but by almost all accounts from people similar to me, they think he's like very unenjoyable to play with. But that said, from the 10 minutes I've watched of him on TV, I thought it was hilarious.
I mean, he's one of my favorite people to have on the podcast. Had him on twice now. I enjoy talking to him more and more every time. Although he does have a habit of just talking for a long time solo, like a solo speaking thing, and maybe in the future he'll be able to make that more of a conversation. But I personally enjoy talking to him, and it seems like a lot of people out there, very polarizing guy. People either think he's great for poker, they like him, or they fucking hate him. They want him to go away. They want him to stop. And I guess it kind of works with the stalling thing. Speech play is one thing, but the tanking thing was another situation altogether. And I think that's what people are a little bit upset about still. So I mean, interesting to see what happens with him. Honestly, I mean, I think he. Good for poker, man. As you mentioned, personalities and people, talking, people being villains, being heroes, whatever it is you want to call them. I feel like it's good overall for the game of poker.
Yeah. And as far as shorting him at 0.9, like I don't know anything about, like I don't know if he's a professional poker player. I don't know if he's like a high stakes online reg. Like I know very like I just know he said some funny things on TV. Like I have no idea. Like I could mess with some people after this and try to figure out if we can throw up some Will Kassouf 0.9 action. But this is one of those examples. It's not me like setting the rates. Like I know all I saw was like one or two funny hands he played on TV. I'm in no way there's no way I can be responsible for how a pretty large, potentially large transaction will be priced, basically.
What you mean? You ain't you haven't been paying attention to poker? You're starting this site, gonna be offering prices. You haven't been paying attention to what's happening out here?
I don't know. I've just been doing a lot. I've been doing a lot of different things. Like I mean, it's paying attention to helping to start up a business is so different from like grinding every live tournament or anything. So it's kind of doing one is time away from the other.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Christian Harder, friend of the podcast, one of my favorite people to look at while I'm playing some live poker. Man, I feel like I've stared at that guy for 175 hours anytime I played live poker. He asked a question: how do you deal with a chop happening under the table at a big non-stars final table involving people who might have been bought at bot? I don't know what bot means, but at bot. Is that something? What does that mean, Christian? I don't know what that means, Christian. But yeah, how do you deal with a chop happening under the table at a big final table involving people who might have been bought at something?
Okay, yeah. So I mean, basically, our current terms basically are to only enforce basically any deal that the organizer enforces, like an EPT style deal. We're going to allow those basically, but like an under the table deal, like say like the Rainer and Fedor in the 300K type deal, like we're not going to enforce something like that because people can just kind of say whatever they want had happened. In tournaments where there is room for people, like someone dumping to someone else heads up or whatever it happens to be, where we're not like we've got to limit exposures. We basically just we just kind of need to monitor what people are doing. But yeah, no, again, this is just like one of the many concerns that we have.
Yeah, that one seems like a pretty valid concern, especially if you have two guys who are heads up, or one guy maybe bought a bunch of extra action and then they make a deal and it's not public, and then the one guy ends up winning, and then I mean that seems like it's something that's very hard to protect against from an operator standpoint.
I mean, the one thing that's a little bit different about our business versus traditional poker businesses is traditional poker sites and stuff. Cheating scandals don't affect them, cheating doesn't affect them, but like cheating scandals being made public does. So it's kind of in their best interest to have everything kind of swept under the rug. And in our shoes, it's absolutely in our best interest to have everything made out there and clear. So we're in a spot where it's pretty easy for us to just incentivize people to police the games. Like if someone's like, hey, look, I'll pay you 50K under the table if you pretend that I won. It's easy for them to just like send us this text message, and we can be like, okay, we'll give you 51K to not steal $1 million from us or something. Like it's really just like basically people who are like trying to cheat so that they can get money into their PokerShares account. That's like our balance where they're violating our terms and conditions. Like it obviously is a game that people can try to play. Like if it's like again with their like lifelong best friend and the two of them want to cheat us, that's one thing. But you're placing a lot of stock to not only lose the extra dollars you're trying to cheat for in that chop, but to just lose your all the money that you've already won because of violating terms.
Right. No, that makes sense.
So it's kind of it is. I mean, that's not to say that it won't happen, but it is it's a big if you're in a tournament first is $1 million, second 700. Your EV at this point is 850K. And say you have 100% of yourself, which is like much larger than our current limits, but hopefully we get there fairly soon. Trying to risk that whole 850K you've already won, trying to get another 150K. And then it's also, you're there with your friend. You and your friend have already won like 1.7 million, trying to screw someone who's providing a service who you're trusting to then send you $1 million to try to get 150K to them. There are people who will do it. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's a lot of kind of things need to add up for this to happen, and especially for this to be a huge factor to our bottom line.
So basically what you're trying to say is you're making a lot of fucking money from this, and the risks are worth it.
I mean, like, wait,
what you're trying to say? I mean,
hopefully
business is good.
Hopefully we make some money.
Business is good. Business has been good. Business is good. I like it, man. And as you mentioned, sometimes people look at it when you say, you're trying to make money as a business, and they say like, oh my God, I'm trying to make money as a business. And, that makes sense. I get it. But yeah, obviously the main goal is to make money. The goal is to win, and you are providing a service, but at the end of the day, you are trying to make money.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that 12 years playing poker has taught me is that I just have a lot more fun making money than losing money. Like, making money feels good, and losing money usually doesn't when you're playing.
Yeah. Jim Dugan says, he said something. What did he say? He said, I don't know where you said that at, Jim. Never mind. What's that question? Corey said, how are you approaching this as far as compliance testing goes? I assume that since this gambling product will be available in multiple jurisdictions, you'll have the platform tested by a third party.
I'm not quite sure what that question is asking.
Yeah, I'm confused too. Yeah, so basically, I don't think that software is going to matter. I mean, you can't like hack the software or anything like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is I'm not. Maybe he thinks that we started a poker site, or I don't really know.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit confused. Yeah, and then Jim Dugan said something about I'm so good at multitasking. He's starting to question my gender, and I'm not trying to say, I'm not sure if you're saying that men aren't good at multitasking and women are, but Jim, so this is what I used to do. I did for 5 to 6 years. I would 24 table with the lobby right here, always looking for new games and chatting at the same time. So me talking to somebody and having conversation and then reading the chat is literally one of the easiest things I could possibly do compared to that. So it's very easy to do, Jim. It certainly doesn't take rocket science, my friend. So it's that's why I'm able to sometimes respond to some comments that end up in the chat. So how do you guys protect the money in that situation when people send the money? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, it just I don't know, goes into a bank account, and then Are you saying like as far as like the bank going under, or are you
No,
saying
yeah.
as far
So
as
when
like
people send money or they send money to the site, you know, where's the money kept? Is it a full tilt situation where money
yeah,
site goes down, disappears? Like how do
yeah.
people have that protection for the money?
Yeah, okay. So this would definitely be something that my business partner would be better at answering than myself. I mean,
Mm,
it's just put like we have it all just like in one like Euro bank account, or I think we have a separate one for our money versus player funds. Basically, I mean, this is just not uh, an area that I've been dealing extensively with.
mm,
Um, and that's we ended up having just euro accounts instead of US dollar accounts because we were originally thinking of having a bunch of different currencies, and then we realized every tournament we're kind of going to need to like convert rates if people with US dollar accounts want to bet on a pounds tournament or something like that, and then also we'll have either big fees converting currencies to another if we're winning in one currency, losing in another, and we just kind of figured like let's just keep it all in one place.
no, that makes a lot of sense, especially with all the fees you're going to get charged with all these other things. Yeah, it's going to be be a lot of vig
Yeah.
going back and forth there. Corey said, let me clarify, because it's a gambling platform / sportsbook. Because it's a gambling platform / sportsbook available in multiple jurisdictions, you will surely need to have the product certified for the relevant jurisdictions. You can't just release a gambling product to the public. It has to be tested / verified before being made available.
Again, this is like basically like I'm again the face for the company. I'm not like CEO. I'm not head of operations or anything like that. This is definitely another question that my business partner or other people involved would be better at addressing than myself.
I need one of those. I'm gonna start answering questions like that. Listen, guys, that's a better question for my friend Ike Hollywood Haxton on my beanbag chair right now. That's a good. I like that line, man. That's a good line to have in the arsenal right there, Mike.
No, I mean I think it's a shit line to have in the arsenal
It's a
because
good
like
line.
I wish. No, I mean I'm honest. I think it's like a crappy line, and like I wish I had the answers to everything, and it kind of makes me realize that the fact that I'm doing this is the first interview I've done. I've got a whole bunch more lined up. I should know more about the company structure than I do. Like it's just I mean I'll be honest. Like I'm not like this is just not like like this is just not something that I'm, passionate about. Like I'm not passionate about, getting the optimal third-party tester for the product. This is something that, others involved have been a part of. I've like skimmed the emails and like barely paid attention to them, but it's kind of my own like, my own laziness that I can't provide a sufficient answer to these questions. And hopefully by the next interview, which will be either later today or tomorrow, I'll be able to answer some of these questions.
I'm going to correct people. Listen, I'm changing the name of the podcast to have conversation in the title. I can't call this an interview anymore, man. I can't. No more interview. What else you got lined up, man? What else you planning on doing?
Not too much. I've been busy with a couple things lately. Like the last couple months have been pretty busy overall. Now I just feel pretty just available in general. I mean, this is going to take up a lot of time, so that's probably going to be my main priority. A little bit of travel. Just got into snowboarding recently. Been doing more snowboarding. I got really into golf this like summer, and then
golf.
I'm sad that golf season's done. Doing some DFS. I guess a bunch of
what's going on with you in this DFS, bro? I didn't expect Timex to. I'm seeing you. I see Christian's been in it for a while now too. Obviously, a lot of other poker guys are in DFS. We've done a lot of DFS podcasts, and I got a DFS show. I don't think we're doing that anymore now on Sunday nights because football season's over. But so now you're playing daily fantasy sports too. I didn't even know you watch football.
I do now. Yeah, I mean, it's basically like I keep needing to like remind my mom this because my mom is like she's been in fantasy football leagues for years. And she's like, been playing on DraftKings for a couple of years, and she's always like, "Oh, Mike, we should go to a Bills game or something." And I'm like, like Mom, like I'm a gambling fan. I'm not a sports fan. Kind of like it's the gamble associated with DFS is so exciting. Where I don't even know that I'm any good at it. I think I'm like probably pretty mediocre, but not terrible or anything. I just enjoy the process, and it definitely is one of the most exciting things to be gambling on. So just during football season was just fairly focused on that.
Yeah, I know a lot. There's I think Mike Watson, he got in a DFS too, right? Or maybe that's Michael Lee I'm thinking about.
He got both of them are. Mike Watson's been into DFS for years. Like I think he is a sports fan, and he's been probably doing DFS for 3 or 4 years. For me, it was literally just the last kind of 4 or 5 months that started.
Yeah, DFS. I mean, a ton of poker players are in there now, and I don't know. It seems like it still might be an okay time to get in there. Obviously, NFL season's always really great, but just from talking with people, it seems like they think DFS will keep getting harder and harder. But then again, NFL, very high variance, and a lot of fun players play that. So it's
yeah. I mean, I think that's probably pretty accurate. That football's probably, especially at low to mid buy-ins, is pretty soft, and then it sounds as if a lot of the other sports are a lot reggier. Yeah, and it just like when people talk about like slam dunk plays, like the percent of people who miss the slam dunk plays is getting lower and lower and lower each season, according to friends of mine. So it seems as if there's like much more value to be had for the elite than for the like fairly good, basically. Like I think it really is, a few people can do really well, and it's a fair bit of work to become one of those few people, I think.
Christian says, did Asani and Aaron Jones coach you? Shout out to Aaron. By the way, I think I said that Dan podcast. I finally got to play basketball with Aaron, and it was a time long in the making. We saw each other at my local gym when he was back in town for Christmas. We got to play a couple games, a 21. It's not many people are there, but that was fun, man. We've been talking about playing basketball for such a long time now, man. We actually finally got to play, so it was fun. Aaron confirmed he's definitely a great shooter, as he did allege that he was in the podcast we did. So he's a very good shooter.
Yeah, no, he's. I mean, basketball is just like a real passion of his. Asani's helped me out a little bit, but it's mostly been Aaron and Zugwat that have been giving me advice.
Yep, those are going to be two. Those are going to be two good guys to get some advice from. I gotta say.
Yeah, definitely. They're super knowledgeable and just very good teachers and stuff, and just guys I've known since we're like, I don't know, 17, 18 or something like that. It's just kind of go way back, and we were all just kind of over on. It was actually at at Zugwat's bachelor party. We were out in Banff. I think we were like whitewater rafting or something, and they were just talking about how sweet DFS is and how like stupid I am for not being into it and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? Like maybe let's give it a try this football season. Like if we're whitewater rafting and they're still talking about how excited they are for football season, like it's got to be pretty good. So I just tried it out the last couple months. Had a lot of fun with it. Like it's so enjoyable to just learn something new, something that's like somewhat relevant to some of your skills, but has other aspects that you know absolutely nothing about. I just found it like it was a really fun 4 months.
Well, now you get to wait for another. Well, I mean, it's still playoffs. I think they have the 4-game playoff sort of things, but
yeah, I'm going to PCA this week. So you can't do DFS from
of course
from Bahamas. So yeah, basically that I think that'll by the time I'm back, it probably won't be too much going on.
You think someone's gonna come up to you and try to start an altercation with this new site, man? Think someone's gonna get pissed and say, "What are you doing? You're fucking killing my action," or what, you expect any sort of violence happening to you in the streets?
I sure hope not. I have no idea. Like I've never never had anything like that.
Listen, if Howard Leonard is walking around fine, I think you'll be all right. I mean, he allegedly took what $700 some million from players. So if he's walking around fine, I feel like
I'm probably doing all right. Yeah. I'm probably doing okay. I actually had I had one. I forgot about this. I had at one point I did have a little bit of physical violence with one person that I like to gamble with, and we were down at PCA and we were talking about who's going to win the JC Olivier fight, and then we were talking about how we should have a fight between the two of us, and we're both pretty drunk. Like we're just like we're probably like 10 drinks deep, playing like the one. Like last year, I tried to win EPT Player of the Year, so I just played like every random ass tournament. Like it definitely wasn't good for my bottom line, but you just need to win like the GPL points or GPI points. So I played like every Midnight Hyper for like the whole season. So I was like drunk playing like the 1K Midnight Hyper at PCA, and somehow we got talking about about like who would win in a fight between the two of us, and like he has fighting training. He might be a little more out of shape, and I was saying if we were to fight in a year, I think it could be a fair fight. And then somehow this agreed to this agreed to us playing Bloody Knuckles, and which of course seems like a good idea when it's when it's like 3 a.m. You're both out of the tournament and you're both like completely wasted. And in your mind, how does Bloody Knuckles work?
You punch each other in the knuckle.
You punch your hands into each other's knuckles,
or you punch it into a wall, or you punch it the other person. I mean, I played all kind. I mean, back in the day, we got out of line. So you might punch a wall, you might punch a desk, you might punch a chair, you might punch each other in the fucking face, you might punch it in the arm, you might punch each other's hand. I mean,
okay, so you come much more from his school of Bloody Knuckles than from mine. Like my school of Bloody Knuckles, there's two. There's one where you like put your knuckles like this, and then you go like this and try to like hit the other person's knuckles before they can dodge. And the other one is like you like spin a coin, and whoever can't like land the coin, then flicks the coin into the other person's knuckles. Oh. Those were the. I mean, maybe it's Canadians being too nice, but those are the way that like Canadians play Bloody Knuckles.
Oh, I never played the quarter one before. It's interesting.
Yeah, it hurts more than you'd expect. I mean, not as much as the one he showed me. And the one he showed me is like one person just stands out there, with your fist like this. The other one goes like this, and you just like wind up and just clock them in the hand as hard as you can.
Yeah.
So that's I guess that's how real Bloody Knuckles work. And maybe this is my first time playing real Bloody Knuckles. And of course you're basically completely like completely wasted and don't realize how much things hurt. And so basically, like we like flip a coin or rock, paper, scissors, and he gets to go first. And this guy's like, he's like an ex-boxer, like, he boxed for like 8 years or something like that. This is not the smartest decision.
Why are you playing with a boxer?
and I swear to you guys, I'm not just telling this story so that I look like an idiot so that you guys will all gamble with me. This is just a pretty entertaining story of some violence to me. So he hits my hand. And like as soon as he hits my hand, I'm like, it probably sobers me up a little bit. I'm like, this is not a good idea. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna hit him. And the idea is you can quit after the other guy's turn, but not after like your turn. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hit him back. Then he'll hit me, and I'll probably quit. And I've never been in a fight in my life. I've never done anything like that, and I'm completely wasted. So and this is in the main like ballroom at PCA. So I wind up and I go to hit his hand, and I like slip off his hand off the side, like just not a connection at all.
Right. And
then he goes like he hits me, and basically like I definitely broke my hand from this, and it was definitely this hit that broke my hand. Like this was a solid connection where it was just like it hurt really bad, but I also don't want to quit before getting a proper hit off. And then by proper variance or whatnot, I hit him like as well as I can. It probably hurts me as much as it hurts him. Then he hits me like a hit more like the first one, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done. You win. Like my knuckles are bloodier than yours. And then so there I am, like I'm icing it that night. Like it hurts so bad. It got to be so big. It was swollen for probably a month and a half. And I was down there at breakfast the next morning, like just talking about like how much my hand hurts. And someone comes, and they're like, yo man, like I saw what happened yesterday. Like, man, you fucked up his hand pretty good. And I was just grinning like so happily that I fucked his hand up too. And he's like, no, like not like that, like not from you hitting him. Like he fucked up his hand from hitting you so hard. So we're at the same table today, and like you see the two of us like capping our cards, and both of our fists are like 3 times as big as they should be. It was that was the closest thing to physical violence associated with gambling on stuff.
Dare I say, not GTO, my friend. Not
GTO. I definitely should drink less and punch never.
Who's the person?
Farid Jatin.
Who's that? How you spell his name?
FARID space JATTIN.
Tournament players.
Yeah. He plays a lot of PLO actually.
Oh,
he's like ship that ish online.
Okay, I've seen that screen name before. Yeah, screen. All right, screen name better. Screen better.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
All right, great game of PLO player.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Are you excited to do it again?
No. I'm just excited like that my hand was after a couple months was able to heal up. Like I don't have any permanent like nerve damage or anything like that. So I'm I feel like my Bloody Knuckles days are behind me.
Yeah.
And hopefully there's no larger physical violence against me this year at PCA.
Listen, if there is physical violence and Mike's wasted, he's ready to fucking go to the streets, okay? That's basically what he's trying to tell you right now. If he's drunk and you want to step to the fucking plate, you want to pull up, he's ready to pull up, man. He's got the Draco on deck. He's been watching Soulja Boy videos, and he's been watching Soulja Boy talking shit with Chris Brown on the internet, man. I don't know. We need some hip hop's crazy, man. Those rap beefs, the videos they make. You seen those videos on Twitter or anything, Timex?
No, probably not.
They're crazy. They're like, man, listen, motherfucker, man, you come at me, man, you gonna get it, man. Listen, man, I ain't playing no fucking game. We ain't gonna go back and forth with this jaw jacking, Timex, man. Pull up, man. Pull up to the fucking spot. I'm like, and then it's like 7 videos just like that. Don't make no sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm much on the, earlier in this, I'm saying I'm excited to have a company to hide behind. I'm pretty much the opposite as far as how much I look for confrontation. I'm not going to have any of those, pull up on me, man, videos or anything like that.
You're going to make one for Jay Kuhn. Tell Jay Kuhn pull up at PCA. He's ready to short. You're ready to short him and ready to get into a fight with Jay Kuhn.
Yeah, that one's probably not going to be happening. No, I don't think I'm gonna be fighting Jay Kuhn anytime soon.
No, that's not. No, I would never. No. You want to fight Jay Kuhn? No.
I like living too much. Yeah.
Jay Kuhn, he's out of line, man. He's crazy. But by the way, we're gonna have Jake on the podcast sometime near future. He's talked about he's gonna be doing a conference in Las Vegas with a guy named Ben Greenfield, and it's like a biohacking sort of thing. I don't know. It sounds pretty cool. We've talked a little bit about it, but we're gonna be doing a podcast about that sometime in the near future as well. So stay tuned to that. What about the Kate Hall Mike Dentale thing, man? You've been paying attention to that trash talk going on there, and those two going back and forth, and what are your thoughts on that situation? Obviously, you got odds on the site for that.
So again, like so I have odds on the site, and that would be, that might be like when I was saying I haven't been following poker that closely the last few months. That would be something that I kind of followed a little bit so that we could like put it on the site. Basically, like I don't really. I try to skip whenever I'm going through poker Twitter. And then scrolling through, and it goes like tweet from one person, tweet from another, tweet from like it goes back and forth between a bunch of people. I have a tendency to just kind of scroll over those things. Like it's usually just it's usually just not things like I enjoy reading.
Right.
So yeah, I mean I've read some of that. It's not like it's not really for me. Like it's
same. You didn't miss much. Yeah. I even made a video about it, and I'm like, man, I'm not reading all this stuff. Like I don't ever really pay attention like the kind of that drama and all these things that happen. And I mean, I guess I should, because I do a podcast talk about things happen in poker, but not like the most interesting to me. That I guess it's all. I guess but it's entertaining to a lot of people. I understand a lot of people like it. America, they love that kind of shit. So it makes sense why it's so popular. Who's the favorite? Who's the favorite on the site?
Kate.
Yeah. How can I get on Mike?
You can get like plus 125.
Does he has to win outright? What is it? So he has to win best of 3?
Yeah.
Okay. I might be all in on Mike. I don't know. I'm like Kate. I don't know. Kate, I don't know what's happened. I got to talk with Kate. We're going to have Kate on the podcast. I got to see all her heads right. She's prepared mentally. And then I might have to go all in on Mike. I don't know. What's Kate at? What can I get Kate at?
Kate would be like, what would that be? I'm trying to convert to American. I think minus 133.
Oh my God.
What?
Okay. She's a favorite. Okay. I mean, listen, I don't know how
if one's plus 125, you've got to have the other one, minus something larger than 125.
Right. I just sound so much like a noob when I talk about this sports betting stuff, man. I don't know anything about it. I don't know what how the VIG works really and all this stuff. And because I've now I never have sports bet ever, which is probably a good thing to do because
I think a lot of people's lives would be a lot better if they never sports bet basically.
Yeah.
Although DFS is so fun.
Yeah, I mean DFS it just seems way different than traditional sports betting where you're betting on like a plus and minus line and all that stuff like that. And yeah, I mean I like DFS a lot. It's just I think that when I know so many people that are doing well at it, I know what kind of work it takes. I know what kind of effort it takes. And if I'm going to gamble for something, I'd like to be at least putting in a large amount of effort at something. And if I'm not doing that, I don't like to invest a lot of money in it. And that's kind of how I am with DFS. It's just, I know I don't have enough time to put into it.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I felt when people started playing like open face. Is I was like, okay, this is going to be something I spend 0 hours on or 5,000 hours on. Kind of like
Right.
I was just sort of people are surprised that I don't know the rules of open face, but I was just like I don't really like want to play this game for 10 hours so that I can be the worst player in every game that I ever play, kind of thing. Like it's sort of if I want to do something, I'm just going to do it reasonably well, or at least try to, and then a lot of other things I'll just kind of ignore. Like,
Yeah, I'm kind of saying about that. Let's go talk about our thing we got into on Twitter the other day. So I made a tweet that said,
one second, I'm gonna grab some water. I'll be back in like 30 seconds.
all right, go ahead. I'll get some shout outs. Who we got in the chat? Listen, D Haya, I got love for weird motherfuckers, man. Okay, and I love weird people. All right, I love weird people. I love hardcores. I love stalkers. I love the crazy people. And you today in the chat, you're getting out of line, but I got love for you, man. What's up, Poppy? Welcome to the chat. My buddy Digital Fox out there, always leaving the weirdest 2+2 comments. I got love for you too, brother. Much love. Epicurus, Lucky Buddha, Ari Beniak, Plying God. What up, Papi? Colamosa. Taza, first time hardcore listener. Listen, man, any hardcores, like I said, hardcores, weirdos, stalkers, creep shows. I got love for you guys, man. Just don't rate me. Don't kill me. Ask me. That's all I ask, all right? Don't just ask me, man. You want to fight? Just ask, all right? You man, just ask me. I'm going to say no probably, but just ask. That's it. That's all you ever, by the way, whatever happened with that Sex in the Tree and that guy, the Sex in the Tree and the guy from the European, I don't know. Remember that message? I don't remember what that message was about. But
oh yeah, so the Sex in the Tree never happened, and you're talking about the guy who wanted me to like come to Europe and sleep with him.
Yes,
that one didn't happen either. 0 for 2.
Listen, if you want me to come to Europe to sleep with you, send me a message, man. Show me what you got. Show me what you got, man. What are the email for I don't remember how the Instagram models do it, but whatever they do, I'll just say that.
Yeah, business inquiries at Chicago.
Yeah,
Jimmy.
business inquiries. Yeah. Send them over to me, baby. Ivan says, Papi, can you ask him? Whoa, Papi, can you ask him why he follows my wife on Instagram and Twitter? Ha ha. She was so confused when he did. Well, Ivan, I can answer that question for you, my friend.
Oh, and, so I'll admit to this one. Or wait a sec. I'm curious who his wife is, because do I currently follow her, or did I follow like a year ago?
Ivan Zarati. Allegedly, you follow her on Instagram and Twitter.
I mean, I have no idea. She's probably pretty good looking, but I would basically say if I currently follow her, she's probably pretty good looking. If I followed her once like a year ago, I had this bot running on Instagram for like a month or two.
Botting. You're botting?
I did for a little bit. I had this like bot running and it would like follow and unfollow people. And so yeah, during that phase, I would get, all these people, like angry at me or like saying, oh, why do you follow my girlfriend? Like, there was a lot of, I had some friends being like, so, I saw you, followed my girlfriend and, liked one of her pictures. And I was like, wow. Okay, like, I probably like, and the bot would also like pictures as well. Like it would just like someone's most recent pictures. And then I was just like, okay, I should probably stop this process, because it leads to things like this where people are like, oh, you follow my wife. So if I actually follow your wife, like there's not that many people on Instagram who I follow without knowing why I follow them. So I just say good for you that you're married to someone who's probably super attractive. But probably it was just a year ago when that bot was running.
I got to say a couple things about women, poker, Instagram, and Twitter. So here's what I've come to find from my Mike's sick over there, man. Been working too much in the lab. Here's what I've been coming to find. If you see a girl on Twitter and she's either something about poker or she follows you first or anything like that, she's probably always dating somebody, especially if she's a poker player. She's probably always dating someone that you most likely know. But if not, and she follows you there, man, I mean, I'm afraid to say this because I know the stalkers are out there, but man, you send them a message, there's a strong likelihood conversion rate on that closing message, Mike. That's just kind of what I've been seeing out there in the streets. Allegedly what I've been hearing out there.
Yeah, no, there's I think that there's in my somewhat limited experience, I would say that of people of people out there doing the following thing, a lot of them are chess players.
Yeah, there's a lot of these discrete chess matches going on in the world, man. It's
I think so. Yeah, there's a lot of people trying to navigate some chess matches through Instagram.
I'll probably be talking about that in like 6 years, guys, when I'm married. I got some stories for you guys for sure, but I'm sure Mike's got some stories for us too. But we're gonna have to talk about those in maybe 6-7 years. So, Mike, let's talk about this Twitter thing. So I made a tweet. So I have to make a GTO related tweet, some sort of like wisdomatic or like fucking thing tweet for 30 days straight. And one day I made a tweet because been doing some coaching with some PLO guys. I've been working with some other guys in my GTO club who play PLO. And a lot of times, one person specifically I remember, Mike, and it was a girl. It was a girl who may or may not have made an in call to WGTO Studios here outside of cold Chicago, and she allegedly played poker. So I was like, all right, let's see how good this girl is at poker. So we got her up, we got her loaded on the internet, online poker streets, and she limp jacked 10 offsuit under the gun, and I was like, oh boy. And then another hand later, she made a raise, and then she made a bet. I was like, oh, why are you c-betting there? She's like, I never thought about that. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then I started talking with some other people, and I said, hey, why are you c-betting here? And they're like, I don't know. So then that's what inspired that tweet. I said, if you don't know why, if you want to figure out if someone's good at poker, ask them why they're c-betting. And then I think you may have said, and I made something about 3-betting, and then you said I didn't comment the first time, but will now. Execution is huge in poker. There's the big difference between the best talkers and best players. And with that, I definitely agree. But my kind of comment was saying that a lot of people out there don't even have any idea, good or bad, why they're c-betting. They don't even think about it. They just make a bet, and they don't even put any much thought into it.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not trying to say that that girl in particular is good in poker. Is good at poker. I'm just saying that I think the number of people that like plenty of people could come up with a reason for why they're c-betting. But that reason might not actually be a reason that makes the c-bet good or makes it better than an alternative play. Like I think that there are a lot of people who can say the lingo, and if you were to ask whether they bet or check, it like basically there's some people who, whether they're betting or checking in a spot, their answer will make them sound like they're better at poker than someone else, regardless of what the action is. And some people will just make the right actions and have reasoning for it, but not be good at like articulating their reasoning. And I'm saying that just because someone's inarticulate doesn't or bad at expressing themselves doesn't make them bad at the game. I think that's even more true on the other end, where there's some people who are just like so good at explaining what they're doing, but they're not necessarily doing good things.
No, yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think it's I guess my kind of inspiration for that was I wanted to tell people, and Chris said, so bad to post that kind of stuff, Poppy. You know that you're making people better by posting that stuff. Listen, man, if you're going to get better from trying to question why you're c-betting in a spot, that's okay. I'm perfectly fine with that. And I guess my inspiration for posting that was, I think a lot of people don't even realize they're should be thinking about a bit more, but and yeah, they really don't. It's kind of funny, and then especially in PLO, most people kind of do, but I did enjoy you engaging back and forth with me, at least on that, because it gave me something to think about, which is the idea that maybe there are some really strong players at the highest levels who can't really explain why they're doing a play. So you think there are some guys out there who couldn't really articulate well why they decided to make a bet in a situation.
Well, and the other thing is that I think is even more important is why you're doing something. There's a big difference between being able to say why you're doing something. I could have explained to you why I was playing Bloody Knuckles with Fareed, but that doesn't make it right. Like it's sort of, it's just sort of you can have a justification for something, but being able to explain the merits of why one option is better than the other is like the important thing to being good, and that's pretty difficult. Like there's very there's like a huge number of hands that you would c-bet. You kind of if your answer is just because like, oh, PO solver c-bets here, things like that, like that's like so bad, or because other people c-bet here, like it's really you can give the merits of one play, but to prove that those are better than the merits of the other play is just not easy. Like I think if you were to have me go through hands, I feel like reasonably confident in most hands that I'm c-betting or not c-betting, but I still like if I had to go write an essay and try to do some math and try to prove why one's better than the other, I think I would be able to in like, you know, a pretty like, you know, small number of hands with like certainty. And I think that that's you know, it just shows like the game with like when the game allows you, you know, multiple bet sizes and, you know, so many like lines are possible, it's really and so many different assumptions could be had for your opponents. It's really tough to you know, definitively say what the right versus wrong plays are, basically.
I think I would agree with that. I'm trying to think about that for PLO. I feel like, you know, Potlam and Omaha.
PLO is a little different because you have more constraints on the bet sizing, and it's more about just you know, pushing equity advantages. So like, you know, with PLO is probably like it's definitely got to be more true in PLO than in Hold'em, I would think.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about Hold'em c-bet strategies in like 6 years, fortunately or unfortunately. And yeah, I just think the question's kind of interesting. It's something interesting to think about, and that was kind of my goal with it, was just think more about why you're c-betting or why you 3-betting. Because I know in PLO before, I used to 3-bet. Like I would just 3-bet because I'm like, oh, fuck 3-bet. Like that, I had absolutely no rhyme or reason. And once I cut that out of my game was when I actually started doing a lot better consistently, because I'm like, oh wait, I'm 3-betting this because this person's opening up this, or he doesn't fold the 3-bets and he folds a lot to c-bets post flop. So I always have a pretty good idea of why I'm 3-betting in a spot. And whereas I know certainly back in the day, I mean, anyone that played with me, Nolan Hold'em back in the day when I was doing SNE, you guys know that I was 3-betting cards for absolutely no fucking reason at all. Besides, I was just out of line and tilted and wanted to have the biggest swings possible in my set.
Yeah, no, I think that's relatively common when people are like getting started out in PLO. But yeah, I think that, you know, trying to have a reason for why you do everything is good. But like just because you have a reason
doesn't mean it's good or bad, right?
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. I think kind of the way you get, and I think I was saying this there, is that the way you get better is you at least have a reason, and then you think about the reason, you test the reason out, and then hopefully you're self-aware enough to realize, hey, that wasn't working. And then I think you said another really good thing. Actually, I want to read, and this is something that is so true. I hope I find it on here. You talked about the execution thing.
Okay.
But I want to find that one. Yeah, I think it's on the main one. Or actually, I don't know if it's up here. But yeah, you basically said that there's a big difference between being able to explain the theory and actually executing the theory. And that is so true. And that's what you find when you talk to people. Anyone can say, oh, you should check raise this percentage with here and do this and do that. But them same people have such an issue putting that strategy into implementation and then actually doing it consistently. And I think that, as you said, there's just a massive difference between the knowledge and the execution of the knowledge.
Yeah, I really think one thing I was thinking about when like saying that is I remember when you did the podcast with like Ben86 and he was talking about like, you know, he thinks in theory Sauce is the best PLO player and in practice he's the best PLO player, and he just thinks like he probably implements things better, or, you know, something along those lines where, you know, I think that's kind of, you know, I mean, if someone like wasn't great and they were basically just saying like, you know, I'm a good implementer. I do this, you know, I do everything better than other people, even if I don't know what I'm doing. Like, you kind of be like, oh, this guy's like, you know, overly, you know, cocky. But when you see how humble Ben is about everything else, and then to basically just say like, you know, implementing what he's doing is like his greatest strength, you realize like, you know, he's just like very self-aware about what his strengths and weaknesses are. And I just think that that's something that people don't give enough credit to in poker when they see, you know, when they see certain people who might not be that fundamentally sound, but, you know, put up results for a decade straight. And then other people who, you know, watch the right training videos, spend their time, you know, with like, you know, PO Solver, and then just like, you know, get like decision anxiety or whatnot, and just like don't play well when, you know, when it's important to. Like, I think there's just a big difference between how people think about the game and how they play the game.
Right, I agree. Yeah, and that kind of brought me to something like PO Solver. You know, Poker Juice is something for PLO, and you know, I kind of sometimes you read hands on Run It Once, and someone posts the hands, and then you have these guys who I don't know if they're winning a PLO. They come in there like, oh no, should have done this, and they start pulling out the Poker Juice, and almost like, I'm like, listen, man, if you guys are so fucking good, why aren't you playing, man? Like, that's sort of, and I don't know if it tilts me. I don't think it tilts me. It's just, it kind of gets me fired up, and yeah, it's just, I love poker. I love the different types of qualities you can have that can still win at poker. And you could have, really high qualities in a certain area, couple areas, but if you just suck at some other mental side of things, you're not going to be able to have success as a poker player. And you could be as theoretically sound as possible, but if you can't fight through your B game and if you can't fight through a downswing, you're never going to make it as a poker player.
Yeah, there's so many kind of potential vices that people can have that get in the way of them being a successful professional. And I think that's something that a lot of kind of pros who have been successful kind of take for granted. Like when I got into playing poker, I was never thinking like, oh, I'm the type of person who can handle losses well. I'm not thinking, oh, I'm the type of person who, won't tilt. Like I was, it was kind of a fluke that this game works reasonably well for my personality type. And it was, just kind of lucky that I picked this game, basically. It's something that, there's countless other people who may have, went through the same path as me and for whatever reason had, various aspects of their personality not be ideally geared towards poker and then not have had, the degree of success they could have otherwise achieved. And it's not as if I was better prepared than they were. Just for whatever reason, poker just like works well for me and works well for a lot of other, like very successful professionals. But like you can't take too much credit for it, basically, when the reason we all got into the game was just kind of playing a game for fun, and then it happened to work out well.
No, yeah, I agree. I mean, I took it for granted massively until I started working with a lot of people and seeing like other winning players. They have like, they don't like, they put 3 hours a day and then they like lose a couple pots. They take 2 days off and stuff, all this kind of stuff. And their version of trying to make it in poker is putting in 4 hours a day. And like their mindsets are so affected by a lot of things. And I never even knew that was a thing. I didn't know people were going through this. And I definitely took it for granted that I just happened to be good at a couple areas, like you said. And yeah, I mean, I say the same thing. I just got really lucky to find poker back in the day when I was 22 years old and I was working, bartending in Chicago and getting really out of line sometimes with, I don't know what path I'd be going down if I didn't happen to stumble into the poker world, man. It's, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been like a really fortunate game to a really like large number of people. Like it's, the whole like high stakes community, like, most of us were just like very, very fortunate to find it when we did.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that, man. Let's, or Connor says, it sounds like Mike is saying that some people can make winning decisions with intuition alone.
I mean, I think intuition alone isn't entirely right. I do think some people, their intuition is much, much better than others. But I think that, other people, like they'll do what it takes to improve, internalize the information and then not be that great at explaining the information kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I still stand by my claim, Mike.
What's that?
It ain't a bang bang, man. It's not a bang bang. I ain't bang. Listen, you know me. I don't have any hard takes. I don't got any hard stances. I don't really like debate ever. I don't argue about anything. But I still think it's a good way if your friend Fred and you guys play at the 1-2 game and he's talking about how he wins all the money and he's good at poker. You ask him why he c-bet a spot. And you take other information, sure, and you don't just go off that one answer. But I still think it's a good way to figure out if someone's good at poker or not, man.
Yeah,
I think it's a good gauge, just by when you factor in other information. Like, man, Fred, why'd you c-bet there?
Yeah, I mean, I would guess when you're already trying to this almost seems like you're just kind of like beating up on the little guy. Like it's not like I'm a little bit serious in the sense like we've been talking for an hour and a half and you haven't pulled up any of my hands to question whether I know why I'm c-betting. Like you're not differentiating from, different tiers of players you have on the podcast. You're just kind of like, someone I think is bad. Okay, let's use this semi-loaded question as a way of, confirming that. Like if you were to just have like a few hands I played that like are, clearly like hands that I didn't play particularly well, and you're like, why do you c-bet here?
Mm-hmm.
You might catch me off guard and I might say something that's like, very stupid and you'd be like, oh, Mike's terrible at poker. Like it's really like if you're only asking, like basically I think very few people have good answers to this question, especially like given that you're asking them. Like you don't it's not like it's the easiest c-bet spot in the world. And like, oh, I c-bet because I had like, a low straight on a dry board or something. Like, it's really, you're probably asking them in a spot where it's reasonably likely they're uncertain. So it's pretty easy to make a lot of people look stupid in that. But if you're already kind of specifically asking the question to people that you already kind of think are bad at poker, just going to confirm what you already suspected.
Dan, you know what, Mike? So what you're trying to say right now is that when I asked that girl why she c-bet a spot and she said she never thought about it, I might have been wrong. Maybe she's good at poker. Maybe I may think she actually wins sometimes too. And I was shocked she had some winning sessions. And I was like, how does she not know how to c-bet, but she's having some winning sessions? So maybe I need to think about the fun question to ask them there in that spot.
I mean, I would just say, like, say you take your next couple guests on the podcast, go find some, televised hands they played, and then, do this only with like fairly elite players, and then basically find like a close c-bet spot, like say 2 times when they c-bet, second pair good kicker, one when they check second pair good kicker. Ask them about both those hands, and then see if they have logically consistent answers for why one is better than the other, and likely they just won't, and you can make them look stupid too. Like it's I don't know. I just think, I mean, maybe I'm underestimating, like maybe just since I don't think about poker that well, I assume I'm underestimating my opponents and assuming that they don't either. But it's basically, yeah, I don't know. I just think it's easy to make someone look like they don't know what they're talking about if you're kind of cherry picking when to ask. The girl is obviously like the Jack 10 off limp under the gun, like she's probably pretty terrible at poker, but you don't need to ask her the c-bet question to figure this out. Like if you had someone and you were actually not confident, you're kind of very much on the fence, is this person good or bad at poker? I don't really think that c-bet question will do a fantastic job of determining the good players from the bad players, is what I'm saying. Like you're just kind of taking people you think are bad and then kind of trying to make them look dumb.
I like that, man. I like that. Think about that. I was genuinely asking. I was curious why she bet. I didn't think it would make. I didn't think it would end up being that she looked dumb in that spot though. But that's a good point.
But yeah, so I think if you were to specifically target good players in close situations, I mean, one, I'm excited because then if they do have a good answer, I can watch this and maybe actually get a little better at poker.
True.
But 2, you can also probably take some good players and make them look like they don't know what they're talking about.
I can't. The whole strategy thing. So I had the Lafort podcast hidden for the past 2.5 years, although technically it wasn't hidden, but I just put it back publicly and I watched it the other day. I never seen so much strategy in a podcast in my life. I couldn't believe I couldn't believe that I asked some of those questions. And then I thought about maybe I should go back to having some sort of strategy hands with people while they're on the podcast. But I don't know. We're gonna find out. Tell you, I'm gonna start asking some player. We get Kate Hall on the pod. We'll start asking Kate why she went all the way with ace-10. And I mean, I'm sorry, kidding. I'm kidding, Kate. She already talked about that. But yeah, we'll find some hands. That's actually not a bad idea. I'm going to try this. We're going to put this into action here.
All right, cool. Yeah, I would definitely approve of that. We can set some more efficient rates on the Kate Mike match.
That's true, man. Yeah.
Get Mike on, ask him some, I feel like I don't know, but just from the little I've seen on Twitter, I feel like Mike would be someone who probably is a better implementer than he is a talker. But I don't know, but I feel like that would be, I know very little about him before, various drama with Kate. But I would guess. I mean, granted, we still have the rate as plus 125. But basically, I would guess he, implements hands better than he would talk about them.
Right. No, I'd be careful. We might come back on the pod, so I'll ask him about that. I think kind of when it comes to that is that I always ask myself, why am I c-betting a spot? It's something I've worked at for hours. I mean, probably too many hours, to be honest with you, and in 3-bet pots and in single raise pots, in position, out of position. And it's something that I really just tried to get down exactly to understand why I'm c-betting on any boards against all types of players. And I think it's something that really allowed me to have a lot of success. So I just kind of assume that most good players have a pretty good understanding of why they're c-betting, or at least think about it and then go over it. But I guess I just took that for granted as well too, right? Maybe that's just not the case. And some people don't necessarily value, they don't necessarily need to work on that as much or actively think about that as much to be able to still profitably play.
Well, I mean, another difference is how when there's so few types of hands in Hold'em versus in Omaha. Like basically, if you when you're choosing whether to c-bet a hand when playing PLO, there's such a wide range of hands that your opponent can have. Like you can't really block, you can't just call it the hands third pair or something like that. Like you have to it'll be third pair with a backdoor flush draw and an overcard and a gut shot, or whatever it happens to be. Like there's really such a wide range of hands that you just kind of you fall somewhere on the spectrum of how good your hand is, and likely use that to determine whether to c-bet. But in Hold'em, there's very much just kind of types of hands. Like the board comes king 9-4 rainbow, and you have you have a top pair, you have a second pair, you have a bottom pair, and then basically in as far as determining what to do with each of those, like which hand you have then makes the types of hands your opponents have weighted against the type of hand that you have. And then it also there's such big differences between the strengths of the tiers of hands that when a lot of them may be obvious in certain situations, like basically I feel like in Omaha you're just kind of like, okay, we're going along the spectrum. Once it's here, we see bet. Kind of like not exactly, but it's kind of like that. But with Hold'em, I think it's much less clear where you want to be able to have different types of hands in different situations. You can't just be like, okay, if it's here, I see bet, and then everything below here you get like blown off the pot when you check. Like there's kind of more. The fact that there's so few types of hands means like when you're partitioning which hands you put in different places, it's trickier to determine where to put them, I guess.
Right. Well, that makes sense. Like king 9-4, I'd say you have 9-7, 9-8, something like that, 9-10. Maybe that's a good hand to check back. Maybe that's a good hand to c-bet when you're positioned against this type of player. And whether knowing what's right or knowing the right or wrong answer in that situation, I mean, you like maybe someone isn't going to know. Maybe they check back king 7 there. Like yeah.
And it's so many things can just be based on your assumptions of someone. Like let's just say, as far as checking back a hand on that flop, you're like, okay, well, I think this guy is going to, bluff too often and with too large of sizing on subsequent streets. Well, then you kind of need to figure out, okay, well, then which hands am I checking? Am I checking some hands that could beat some of his value bets, or am I checking hands that are losing to some of his value bets? Am I checking my weakest bluff catchers? Am I checking my least vulnerable bluff catcher? Like it's really,
now we're getting into poker right here, man.
Yeah.
See, now we're playing the game. This is
it's just, and it's something like there's I think that I don't really think I've kept that current with with poker strategy the last couple of years. Like I'm definitely not anywhere close to my A game right now. But I think that I just think the skill ceiling of how people can approach things is pretty high, and you really don't. It's tough to definitively say, oh, I would do this. Like there have probably been times like I would have c-bet this hand in 2008, and then I wouldn't in 2010, and then I would in 2012, and then I wouldn't in 2014. Like things can vary. Like you kind of do what is the trend now, but that doesn't necessarily make it right.
No, I think that's true. I mean, I think some spots in PLO now, in the past couple of years, people are checking back some of these moderate flush draws from the button when they're against the big blind. And whereas before, you just kind of c-bet second pair with a 10 high flush draw or top pair with a 6 high flush draw. But now you're realizing, oh, maybe those hands are better to have in my check back range so that you're a little bit more balanced on later streets against certain player. And like, yeah, but that wasn't the case. Like you said, it kind of a couple years ago, and then that became more of a thing. And and yeah, as big blind plays developed and all that fun stuff. So, you still don't play PLO, right? You never want to play PLO?
Yeah, I played maybe like 50 or 100,000 hands in 2009, and then maybe like 1,000 hands a year since then, or something. Like basically just don't really play.
Fun game. Yeah. Oh man, fun game. I got a video coming out. Tomorrow, I think, or later today, maybe, about Daniel Negreanu. I found a hand. Daniel Negreanu played a PLO, and you guys can imagine. He may have made more than one wrong decision in the hand, so that hand's going to be kind of fun to talk about.
Did he c-bet it?
He did not c-bet, no.
That was probably his first mistake.
His first mistake was his raise pre-flop, and then from there he just started clicking random buttons. And it actually goes to show a lot of common mistake that a lot of Nolan Holm players make when they come over to PLO is they overvalue hands pre-flop, they overvalue situations on later streets, and they compound their mistakes with their pre-flop mistake that turns into a big turn mistake, which then turns into a big river mistake that could have been solved in the flop. So it's I guess that's not exclusive to Nolan Holm players. Sometimes when they play PLO, it's exclusive. It's more of a general PLO leak that a lot of players have. And
I mean, I think that's just a kind of a almost like I think that's the case with any sort of game with hands that are close as far as hot and cold equities, that your early decisions are worth more than you think, because oftentimes as the pot gets bigger, you just kind of need to continue. So early on, you kind of want to play hands that are reasonably good, because you're probably going to need to play them for a while. So I think that's, I mean, I don't really know PLO very well, but I think just kind of from like a, gambling point of view, it just sort of makes sense to want to, if it's a 55-45 or whatnot, like try to be the 55 from the get-go, because more often than not, you're going to be the 55 on the flop when the bet's bigger. You're going to be the 55 on the turn when the bet's bigger, and you're going to be, more often than not, the 100 on the river when the bets are the biggest. Like it's, I'm not trying to tell people, knit it up too much or anything, but in a lot of games, just it's tough to overcome big equity disadvantages.
No. I'm going to tell them then. You should definitely knit it up pre-flop, probably more than you are, especially if you're not very good at the game. And I think in PLO, that's something that people just don't do, because the hot and cold, as you mentioned, that's a really good point that you made, is that people say, oh, well, I'm never too big of an underdog here. Well, yeah, maybe in a heads-up spot, but in a three-way or a four-way spot, your hand plays so terribly post-flop that when you're never going to win a big pot with your hand, and you're often going to lose a massive pot and just end up losing a lot of money with the play. But then they might justify it by, well, this hand doesn't do that bad, sort of thing. And with 4 cards, double suited, yada, yada, yada. And yeah, they don't realize that little mistake right there turns into these massive mistakes. And it doesn't often turn into a good play.
Right. Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate.
People keep asking about the 2-5 zoom. And listen, we talked about this in the last pod, but do we want to talk a little bit more about this? Because literally 1,000 people have asked about this in the fucking chat, man.
I mean, is there if there's one all-encompassing question or whatnot, I can do it, but
so many people now. We definitely talked about this. Maybe on the past 2 pods to some point. I think the one pod we talked about, you mentioned it, and then the last pod we got a little bit into it. But Lucky Buddha says, I remember when Joey cared about not killing the games without giving free strat to the masses. Listen, entrepreneur life's tough fucking life, Lucky Buddha, okay? But yeah, so let's find an all-encompassing question here. 500 NL Zoom challenge, Joey Platt. Just go over what happened with the challenge again, sort of thing.
Yeah, I just made a bet with Doug Polk and a couple of his friends on whether I could beat 500 Zoom, and then after maybe 30 or 40,000 hands, I decided I probably can't beat it, and then stopped playing.
Simple enough. That's it. And so you lost the bet?
Yeah.
How much you guys bet? A lot of money?
I think I lost maybe 90,000 or something.
Jesus, man. For fuck's sakes. 90,000? Damn, man.
I think it was about that. Maybe 70 or something. I could go back and look, but it's in that range.
Damn, what did you need to beat it, or you need to win a certain win rate, or how did that work exactly?
We just had a big crossbook on the side.
Oh, big crossbook on the side. Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck, man, it's a tough one right there. Dang.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know.
You didn't lose 90,000 at Zoom, guys. Okay. You didn't, right?
No, I didn't lose 90,000 at Zoom.
All right.
I think I lost maybe 9,000 or. Been maybe 9 to 11,000 or something like that.
Okay. Daniel says, funny how Joey pretends he didn't know about the bet. I didn't remember this. I might have been told, but I didn't obviously I would have remembered if it was in my mind. I wouldn't ask the question. But yeah, that's any more prop bets you've been made in the past year?
I haven't been doing a lot of prop betting, I don't think. I mean, I guess one that kind of got some publicity was we bought out some of the Vanessa Jason Mercier bet.
Yeah.
But that was, I mean, that's not too exciting or anything like that. I don't think I've done any fun prop bets. Maybe I'm just not a very fun person or whatnot. But I just don't get into I don't know. I mean, I'm willing to bet if I like my spot. I think I also have the issue of having a pretty nitty reputation, which I think was rightfully earned when I was younger, of just kind of tending to just bet when I have the best of it. Nowadays, I've realized that that's it's better to just usually have the best of it than to always have the best of it. So I'm much more willing to just gamble on random shit. But basically, I think that reputation is still kind of held, and there are just spots where if I were to just offer someone, it's like it's like right now, say something like some of the bets on our site are basically like there's basically no vig, like there's like 1% vig or something. Like there's no way we're anywhere near smart enough to like have properly handicapped whether like Dong Kim and his friends are going to beat this AI. Like we have no idea. Like, but we're putting this bet up at like 1% edge or something. Like it's really we're basically just like kind of throwing out numbers. But like people see that we have rates up and they're like, wow, how did Mike calculate that? Like I'm out here just like trying to guess a number that looks about right. Move the number if the market suggests otherwise. But like we really like we're just like it's not as if I have some like secret system for figuring out win rates or anything. Like I just kind of like guess and probably guess better at than average.
Yeah, I got the bot, man. I'm all in on the bot. I think they're rusty. I don't think Dong's been playing a lot of. I don't think. Big Dick Dong or Kim. I don't think he's been playing a lot of heads up. I don't think my buddy Jason Les been playing a lot of heads up. I don't know if Asian Fleshy, aka whatever his new account might be, playing a lot of heads up. I don't know what the other guy is. So I don't know, man.
Asian Fleshy isn't doing it. It's
Pandora's box.
Dougie Dan and For the Swarm.
Oh, I mix those. That's not a racist mistake by me, guys. Don't get mad at me. I just mix those Asian names up sometimes. Yeah, so it's For the Swarm and Dougie Dan. Have those two been playing a lot in the past?
I'm pretty out of touch. I mean, I'm like a decade removed from the heads up. Who's good at heads up?
Like 10 years out, Joe. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about here.
I'm just so out of touch with who can play heads up no limit. I'm assuming those four can very well. Like,
I'm hoping the bot brings some pain, man. We don't got no Duggan out there, man. I don't know. They're not meant to be able to do it without Doug in the mix.
It'll be exciting to watch for sure. I mean, I imagine it's probably improved quite a bit.
Will it be exciting? It's like 21 days of matches. There's 11 days. It's like a lot of days they're playing.
I mean, I definitely enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed seeing the things it did that are very different than people. And then trying to guess, like, try to ask it like, oh, like Cepheus, why did you c-bet this spot? Like, I enjoyed, trying to think why it would do the stuff that was very against what standard poker players do.
What was the bot's name they played last time? Was this Claudico?
It was Claudico. Cepheus was the limit bot. Okay, I think it was Claudico.
What's this bot what's the bot that are playing now?
Lattice.
What is it called?
Lattice.
Okay.
Yeah.
God, all these fucking bots. Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, we know there's bots that do exist at online poker at Popman Omaha and at No Limit Hold'em. So I'm not surprised to see the rise of the bots taking place here.
Yeah. So. It's a scary time for online poker.
You know what? That reminds me. I talked with the creator of the Claudico bot about coming on the goddamn podcast, man. And then we tried setting up, but something happened. And then we talked again in Vegas. And I got to set that podcast up. Forgot about that. I got to get Sam on the pod, man. I want to still talk
on the to-do list. Yeah. I mean, it'd probably be exciting, especially if, they win, or at least this one's kept close. Like, that'd probably be an awesome guest to have on.
Yeah, I want to know more about this bots. How scared should we be of these bots? I mean, are you worried about other bots at tournament poker? Like, I would imagine they exist, but is it talked about? Has anyone ever found out? Is something like that going on? Or
I'm sure there's like some, but like I don't know much about it. I'm like, again, somewhat like, I'd say if you were to ask someone like you said Patrick Leonard was in the chat, if you were to ask someone like him, I guess he'd know 100 times more than I would. Like he's much more has this kind of like you're like
$9 million going on online. Yeah, $9 million. The staking's up allegedly, according to the graph he posted on Twitter. Camp.
That's pretty damn impressive. That's sick.
I gotta see more receipts than a hand-picked graph from Sharkscope, man. I gotta see some more pads. Come on, pads, send me the receipt, buddy.
It seems like a weird thing to make up, but I don't know. I guess there was that who was the PLO guy who posted the like $9 million graph that was like made up?
Ben Grundy, was that made up?
I thought it was made up.
Damn.
Maybe someone in the chat can confirm. I just remember an absurd graph being posted. I mean, it could be just that I'm not really like I just don't really like understand random bragging that much. So I can't really like I can never really like when someone does something, I probably tend to assume it's more true than it is, because I just can't really like wrap my head around why people do it, I guess. But that's probably not the right mentality to have. So I would tend to just assume it's true, but that's probably not necessarily the right way to be. I don't know.
You can understand why people would randomly brag about something.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like I just don't like I don't feel good lying about things, and I don't really like care that much what other people think. Like I mostly just do things because they make me happy, or they make the people around me happy. I don't really do things trying to like have like the masses think I have $9 million that I don't, or something. Like I don't really care that much about what other people think.
Mm.
And I guess for a lot of people, they're more externally motivated than internally motivated. But for me, I just kind of do just what I want to do, and don't really like worry about what other people think.
Lucky Buddha bragging about not bragging.
Oh yeah, that's exactly the humblest of humble brags. Yeah.
Sick brag.
Yeah, exactly. That was the whole reason. Yeah, I'll post my $9 million graph after this.
Listen, brother, there's no answer out of that. That ain't getting through the chat, man. Believe me, there you couldn't say a goddamn thing there without the chat saying something. I don't think there's a right answer in that spot. I don't know if there is.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I don't know, man. It's a tough one. Shout out to my buddy Bruno Malavazzi in the chat. I just put up a short video with Bruno on my YouTube for he won one of the Bill Perkins package. He's going on a PCA or going up the PCA. And yeah, man, his story's great. I love his story. Make sure you check it out. And yeah, Gus P, did you winterize the Lambo?
Good question. I've just been so busy, and this is like really not good. I basically didn't get the car like detailed at the end of the season. I didn't put like fuel stabilizer. The battery's probably just dead in the car. Like I've just been doing a lot of other things, and like probably when it comes like time for the summer, I'm gonna actually like need to like probably like replace the battery, or do something like that, because I didn't do the proper procedure for putting it away in storage. But yeah, so not driving it in the winter, but also haven't gone through the process of not driving it, if that makes sense.
Isn't the Lambo the most ultimate braggadocious car that you can have?
I mean, it's pretty high up there, and it's definitely I think it's pretty likely I'm selling it next summer. Yeah. I think it's basically like for me it was, I think when I was like 20, I guess I would have bought that when I was 22 or something like that. It was much more of like a hey, like I can just like buy this absurd car. I probably would have bought an R8, but there was already a poker player in my town with an R8, so I like was looking kind of deciding between like that and like a Ferrari 430.
Yeah,
and
430.
Then just like and then just like went with the Gallardo. And then yeah, I mean basically now like I still love driving that car, but it's annoying that I can't drive it year round. I think I might trade like both my cars in for a Tesla, so like sometime next spring, I think.
Yeah. How old are you now? Wait, 20 what?
27.
27, man. You're getting old, kid. 27 years old. How's it feel? You already get married soon? You already have a kid now, or what's going on? What's up with that?
I sure hope I don't have a kid. No, but basically, marriage is probably a ways away for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We're definitely sort of getting to that age range where a lot of the kind of people that came up through poker around the same time as us are settling down, getting married, having kids. Like it's really so many of my friends, it felt like we're in the exact same place in life 5 years ago or even 3 years ago, and nowadays it's like they're adults and I'm still a kid kind of thing. Like it's
here's my strategy. I just follow what Laforte's doing, and I know Lafort ain't ever getting married, and I know Laforte's just gonna keep being Lafort and keep being GTO. So I follow Lafort. I see what Lafort does, and I'm inspired not to get married.
All right, fair enough. I haven't watched too many recent ones. What's he's like dead set on not being married? Is he opposed to the idea of marriage or opposed to monogamy, or what's his reason for?
I can't remember the exact thing. I don't know if he's opposed to monogamy. I'm just not sure if he can be monogamy. I don't know if he's got it in him, man. He's Fort's an animal, man. He's an animal. I think so. I don't know the exact reasoning behind it. I think you may have mentioned it the last time we had him on the pod, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think he just got a lot of opportunities going on for himself in Toronto, man. You know, why settle down unless you find that the perfect person for you, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely I feel like having options can be both a positive and a negative thing, I suppose. Like, I think that, I would guess a lot of people who, don't have other options at their disposal tend to have more successful relationships, or at least like longer lasting relationships, due to the fact that, when they compare it, all they do is compare it to, what being single is like, which is often like having nothing going on, or, another relationship, which, might occur very rarely. Whereas sort of the more options you have at your disposal, the tougher it is to commit to something, because then you're like, okay, well, you're thinking about, the other people you've dated, the other people you could meet, the people wanting to play chess on Instagram. Like, there's just like, there's a lot kind of going on there where it's, yeah, no, I mean, this, I guess this might just sound more like, like real bragging than my, bragging about not bragging or whatnot. But it's really like, it is something where, like, if LaFord is in a spot where he just has like, too much going on, having too much fun, that could also like have the downside of it proving, difficult to, even if he finds like the right girl, it's easy for him to, not notice that she's the right girl, because there's several other like semi-right girls that he thinks would be more fun, I guess.
No, I agree. I've thought about that a ton too. And yeah, I definitely have that. Unfortunately, I've always thought about that. Whenever I date someone, you always think about other people you've dated or who you could be dating, and then that's like, you have poker. Obviously, like, I've always had poker for a long time, so yeah, it's been kind of tough to kind of mentally think about. And I wonder if the successful relationships, I mean, I guess they just have a different mindset about it. It's just like maybe the poker mindset's one way, and then the relationship mindset's another way. So, yeah, Jonas says, my buddy Jonas in the chat, he says, more about the Instagram chess game. Any strategy? LaFort is like the king of Instagram chess. He's got that down to a goddamn science, man. He said, that kid is, he could make millions of dollars off his Instagram strategy book if he wrote one.
Yeah, I remember seeing one podcast. Actually, I remember this, I think this summer before I got busy, messaging him, wondering about, I basically said, oh, sometime we've got to, you've got to tell me some of your like Instagram tips. And then he's like, okay, sure, anytime. And then I, just like slipped my mind and I never got back to him. But that seems like,
got a couple for you, Timex.
All right.
Shirtless photos.
All right. Well, that's an easier tip for him than it is for me. But
I know this is what his Snapchat strategy is. He gets the phone, puts it on himself, puts a filter on. We'll make these half try to, like, he's like pretending to joke, but really he knows he looks good in the things, and he like make these like weird faces like this, and then do that, like pretending to mimic other women or guys and what they do. Yeah. But knowing that he's going to look good in it. Yeah, knowing that he's going to look good. And then you have a couple scenes when you're out at a nice lounge with your friends and they're dressed nice and you're like showing them off, and then you put in some music on there too. You include some shots of clothing.
Oh, yeah. How do you put music on Snapchat? I don't really use Snapchat very much.
You don't even want to know the answer. It's, you just put the music on your phone and then you press record, and then it comes on there.
God, I'm such an idiot. Okay, of course it's that. Okay.
It's really easy. I know. I wondered that too for a while. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay, that's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got the Snapchat. If you wanna follow LaFord on Snapchat, I think it's LaFordiments, and he's a poker player. I've had 3 or 4 podcasts with him. We went to EDC one year, and he had the Spirit Hood on for a while, and he loves the Spirit Hood. He even got a Spirit Hood. I bet he's done some freaky shit in that Spirit Hood, actually, now that I think about it more. So, but yeah, he is very GTO. Jonas says, does Timex know about his long lost brother, Mike Vacanti? Yeah, do you know? Did you see Mike? I had him on the podcast. You guys look freakishly alike.
Yeah, there's a few people that people are constantly telling me I look like, and I think that might be, yeah, that's definitely one of the ones that comes up more often. Like, I've definitely so he's like really into fitness or something, right? And he also plays poker, or what's his background?
Yeah, he is. He used to be an accountant, and he was always really into fitness. Then he started his own fitness website, his own stuff around that genre. And then yeah, that's what he's been. Now he has a big brand. He does my personal training for me. He always gives me the best GTO workouts of all time. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's basically. Let me see if we can pull this up here. Actually, we'll pull up a picture of him real quick.
All right. Yeah, no, I've definitely seen some pictures. It's yes, pretty similar like facial structure.
Yeah, pretty similar facial structure than you.
Yeah, he's probably about 3 times as big as I am.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can't really see too well, but yeah, he definitely has the Timex look going on. It's weird when I talked to him, he just looks just like you to me. So yeah, I guess if you put on maybe some weight, this would be how you look.
Yeah,
So
maybe
at
I
least
should.
if you ever dedicate yourself to working out, this is what you look like.
Yeah, guess
That's
got to get right on that.
Yeah, maybe guys. Let's take a couple more questions. Looks like any given white guy, it says racist. Please don't do that. And yeah, let's take a couple more questions. What field is that in my wallet? Soldier Field, baby. Come on, Chi-Town, Chirac. Let me take a couple more questions. We'll wrap it up. So you got planned PCA? You're going down there when?
Going down there Saturday night.
Saturday night, man. Saturday night. What's today? Thursday. Saturday
Yeah.
night. That'll be fun. What's the plan? Staying in the Cove? You high rolling? You staying in?
No, I'm staying at. I think it's at Royal, but I'm not sure. I've always liked staying at Coral quite a bit. I find it just like I'm always there. I mean, this week won't be as busy as previous weeks that I've been at PCA, but I just find I spend so much of my time walking to and from the poker room.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm not really there to like bask in some like fancy hotel room where you can have like extra expensive room service. Like I just like the one that's closest to the poker room basically. So like I remember one, like they used to like comp you like Cove nights, and I'd like message stars being like, oh, can you like change these Cove nights into Coral nights for me, please? Like I really just don't really I don't think I care that much about the like the quality of the place that I'm in the way that a lot of people do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think I'm pretty much like I'm a pretty like I this is one thing that I don't like about having the Lamborghini is it's tough to say I'm a minimalist and all everyone thinks about is like this guy's a Lamborghini, but it's like I
don't know if we can allow you to make this claim you're about to make. You got a Lamborghini, Mike.
Yeah, but I mean, if you take that out, like if you
take out the Lamborghini.
I mean, this is why I can't even like prove I don't really spend much on anything. Like I think someone like was tweeting, like I think Jungleman was tweeting about like how shitty his setup was, and I posted like a picture of my like office chair. Yeah. It's just it's just like a whole like these chairs should have been thrown out like 8 years ago or something like that. Like it's really I just don't really like need things. Like if I just have like a computer and an internet connection, like and like like a closet to sit in, like that's fine. Like I just don't need much stuff. And like the difference between a Coral room to a Cove room really doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, there's I'm sure I don't have chat up or anything, but I'm sure there's people in chat saying no, this isn't true. You have a Lamborghini, but it's like
who cares, man?
But it's basically I just always tend to just stay where is like most convenient.
All right, Too Fat Matt says everyone I see listed for the PCA main event is at least 200% markup. Where are the people below 100% listed? Bang bang. He didn't say that. I said that, but that's a setup for a bang bang.
Yeah, so I mean, so basically we don't really want to just like call someone out. Like if your grandpa won a spin and go to the PCA main, like I don't really see the value of me posting that you can buy a piece of him for 0.8 markup or something. Like no one's going to do that, and it's just like just being mean to your grandpa rather than celebrating that he won his spin and go or whatnot. So it's just like trying to like. This tournament is going to be so outrageously soft with such a large percent of the field having one spin and goes into it that it's tough to not be a winner in a tournament like this. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of we do have that request a bet feature where like I'd guess during the time that I've been on this podcast, like other people will be handling it, but like I guess there have been like dozens of like missed emails that I've been CC'd on, and we're just constantly throwing things up. And we're generally when the markup is low, we just think it's in our best interest not to have it be posted publicly. Like, if you if you just try to envision the type of player that we would sell at a markdown in the main event, most of them will not get lots of buyers regardless of the price. Like for certain people, like, say for like Neymar or a Ronaldo, like you'll definitely be able to buy like Neymar and Ronaldo at markdown. But like as far as like the majority of like losing player or various like other celebrities and stuff, but like as far as other people in the place, like in the tournament, most of them are just like average Joes who no one like knows who they are. So you're just kind of clogging up the site, I guess.
That makes sense. That's why you kind of keep those guys off the site, because they probably won't be that popular.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like the main thing right now, it's not like it's a list of the best players, but it's a list of like very good players that we know are attending, and we think will have some degree of interest.
I'm all in on Daniel Devoris.
Yeah, I mean he's super good.
Big PCA coming up for him. Fedor holes, selling my Fedor PCA. So I think he's going to be partying too much. I think he's going to be turning up at the pool. I think he's going to be trying to get up on the women that might be down there that may or may not be poker related. I think he's going to be too distracted. He's got the highest markup on the site. I'm selling.
You're selling? I'm
selling Fedor, man. I don't think he's going to be too busy trying to save the world and trying to save himself, man.
Yeah. I mean, there's I think Fedor is great. Like we were close to pricing him even higher, kind of thing. Like it's I think even if he's retired, I still think he's just one of the best players.
He's been read $15 last month, man. He's ready to go. He's got the outlook. He's got this outlook change, man. I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see how retired Fedor does this year. Obviously someone has a big year every year. Someone makes a big run. Someone goes on this crazy streak. So I'm anxious to see who it will be in 2017. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's somebody who's already had a pretty sick run. So I guess we'll have to wait and find out here. Mike, you want to lead the people with anything else? Follow along with on Twitter at PokerShares, correct?
Yeah, at PokerShares. And then, and that's probably the best way to reach out, I guess, is just following that account and then, tweeting at it. And there should be, someone should respond to it fairly quickly.
Cool. And if you want to send Mike any sort of request about having him visit you in Europe, obviously reach out to him on Facebook and send him a message. He loves seeing things like that.
Naturally,
and,
yeah.
If you're down at the PCA, say what's up to Mike. Tell him you saw him on the podcast. Tell him if you hate him, tell him that. You love him, tell him that too. And yeah, man, I'll be back probably next week sometime. I think next week sometime. Probably get I don't know when we'll be back, but yeah, we got some fun ones coming up here for sure. So stay tuned. And yeah, follow Mike on Twitter. It's at Mike Mcdonald 89 and iTunes. Yeah, I got nothing to say. That's it. Mike, any last parting words?
Nothing really. I just thanks again for having me on the podcast, and I just want to say thanks to the community for being so positive and really appreciating this product so far.
Cool, man. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what happens, and hopefully it goes well for somebody. I don't know which side I'm rooting for here.
Doesn't matter too much. I mean, I know which side I'm rooting for, but I hope I do well, and I hope people enjoy what we're offering.
I hope so too. Matt McNaughton, how's my book coming that I have? I have not started the book yet. I have a lot of words to write still. But bam, that's it.
Gotta get that done.
I know. I'm probably I'm not gonna lose the bet because I don't lose prop bets. I'll write 40,000 words in a day if I need to.
What are the stakes of the bet and what are the terms?
I need to write a 40,000 word book by the end of this month. I made it with Sahil, the DFS guy, and Jonathan Bales, and we bet 1K. I bet 1K each with them, so it's 2K. And then I have to self-publish the book and then sell it.
All within a month, or you write it in a month and then you can?
Well, no, I have to have it self-published by the end of the month.
Okay, gotcha. That's that's good. I mean, that should be quite the process. Good luck.
I better get started. You're right. I made this bet a month ago, but it's easy. I'm not even worried about this, man. It's light work. Come on, it's harder playing. It's harder to play 35,000 hands of PLO in a day than it is this, man. Come on, this thing.
Maybe I don't know. I feel like, if PLO is what you love and writing isn't, I think it makes it pretty tough.
That's true. Although, hey, I just got done with another bet with Fedor with no porn or masturbation. I thought I might have loved porn, but it turns out I loved working harder at it the rest of my life instead. So, and I loved having the stalkers watching still. I loved having a lot of chess. I had a lot of chess matches, Mike. And let's just say I was expanding. I got a couple new term. I better not say much, man. The stalkers are out. That's it. That's what I got to say.
What were the terms for the no porn or masturbation? Like, how long was it for?
We made that back in July or August, and I couldn't watch porn or masturbate for the rest of the year.
That's a long time.
I mean, like the first 3 weeks are hard because you're always like your hands when my mom turned the pod, she ain't watching anyway. But your hands, you're always kind of thing. But then once you start realizing that, hey, you just need to expand your regular chess game partners, and maybe one doesn't do it. Maybe you need to have two. You need to have someone over that can come over all the time. Once you realize that, and then you realize how much much time you have to actually do other things. Like I built the business since then. I just got all these new ideas, and I started working at that. And I realized that it really forces you to step outside your comfort zone, open up your range a little bit. And
I think one issue I might have there would be it's like, let's say you told me, hey, Mike, you're not allowed to train against a chess computer. Like you're not allowed to train against the computer, but you're allowed to play as much chess as you want to. I might then find that I might take on some chess opponents who I don't like their table. They might not meet my normal standards of table etiquette the way that I normally would. And I feel like to some extent having some degree of training with the chess computer can be good for one's sanity.
Yeah, I expanded for sure. There were some opponents that I wouldn't have trotted them into the bedroom right now and shown them on the camera. Let's just put it not for no. They're nice people, of course, nice people, but yeah, you kind of take the demographic available to you sometimes, and yeah.
I mean, that's an impressive bet.
I'm gonna try to keep it going for as long as I can because sometimes not like some people spend hours doing it. They do it for an hour, sometimes you do it twice a day, 3 times a day, or something like that.
Yeah,
and that's 2-3 hours out of your day, or an hour or 2 out of your day, and also it makes sex. I mean, the sex improves a lot because you're so much more engaged with it, and you're the way that you mentally think during it changes completely because it's such it's such a different thing. And I've read a lot about it. I've watched a lot of videos. I've studied it a bunch and studied the effects. And yeah, it just improves the sex quality much.
I mean, I definitely think that as far as time taken out of the day, playing chess takes a lot more time out of your day than than studying with the chess computer. Basically, the last sort of 4 or 5 months when I've been so busy, it was kind of one of the times in my life when I wasn't really seeking out too many chess opponents or anything like that, and passing up on several chess matches that I had previously arranged and stuff. And I think that I think it's just when I was busier, the odd game against the chess computer was fine.
That's true. I mean, the bot. I mean, listen, they make high-level bots these days that you can play against.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very high level.
Man, that's oh my god, man, that's crazy.
All right.
Do you have a name for this bot? The bot you were playing? You like to play against the computer a lot?
I'm just referring to just Pornhub, but
maybe you got from bot. Maybe you prefer some other bots. Maybe you prefer the Bang Bus bot.
Okay, no, that's a paid site, isn't it, or no?
Yeah, it's a paid site. Yeah, the Bang Bus bot. I believe that's one of those. That's a paid chess computer, and
yeah. I don't even buy new kitchen chairs. I'm not paying for porn.
You don't think there's a difference between a paid bot and a paid chess computer and a free chess computer?
I mean, I'll be honest and just say I try to be open-minded to to pretty much everything. I've never considered paying for porn, and it might be irrational that I haven't. Just because given that it's a service that people use, there have to be more positives to the service than I'm realizing, I guess. So yeah, basically, maybe it's something where I should have I should be signing up for the Bang Bus subscription or something. It's just something it's never really crossed my mind, but probably because it's not computer chess is not a popular topic of conversation. But maybe I should start thinking about that for the next time I'm deep in the lab avoiding real chess matches. I should try to look to pay for some good matches against the computer.
Yeah, Han says there's more than enough free chess content out there, which is true. I mean, just like with poker content, you got to run it once, which is a paid subscription. You got a lot of free content on a 2+2, or you got on Reddit, or you have these other sites. So yeah, I mean, I guess the difference between paid and premium, does it justify it? Is the value there when it comes to chess? I don't know. Run some sims. Get in the streets. Run some sims for us. Report back to us. Let us know.
I mean, it's really. I mean, basically, like his mentality is basically the same as my mentality has been thus far. But just because there's just because that's out there doesn't mean that it's optimal. Like, it could be that I've been, missing out my entire life on all this, the wonderful world of, paid chess. Paid, electronic chess or whatnot. Like, I should have thought about that.
I'm glad we said that to the end. We might have confused a lot of people during the middle of that one. So
yeah, this is quite the derailment.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I could talk about chess for hours and hours. I might turn this into a big thing. I might just put it out there all the time and teach men around the world to use a chess analogy around their friends, and that way it's like a code that women don't know what's happening. So yeah, that's it. Let's wrap it up, man. Mike,
all right, thanks for having me on the pod. Yeah.
Good luck down in Bahamas. Enjoy. We'll be following along with the venture, and we look forward to some hurt feelings out there potentially by some prices that we get. And we look forward to the first crazy thing that happens, because I'm sure something crazy is going to come from it all.
All right. Good luck with the book, man.
All right. Yeah. All right, guys in chat. Be back soon. Much love. Adios, and peace.